Welcome to NTD Newsroom. I'm Don Ma. President Trump says Iran has agreed to ensure nuclear honesty long into the future. What mechanisms are in place to hold them accountable? And what breakthroughs did Vice President JD Vance secure during talks with Iranian negotiators? Secretary of State Marco Rubio heads to the Gulf this week. He'll meet with regional allies as questions remain about the new U.S.-Iran memorandum. A federal judge blocks the Trump administration's efforts to subpoena Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. The ruling comes amid an investigation into whether state officials obstructed immigration enforcement efforts. Arrests have been made in connection with the damage to the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. President Trump is calling the incidents serious crimes and demanding tough penalties for those responsible. We have the latest from Washington. A deadly weekend in Chicago. At least 7 people were killed and dozens more injured in a series of shootings across the city. President Trump is once again calling for federal intervention as the debate over crime and public safety intensifies. Taiwan's vice president is speaking out about growing pressure from communist China. Xiaobi Kim says Taiwan must stay strong, protect its democracy, and never let Beijing define its future.
This is NTD Newsroom, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. The Trump administration touting a breakthrough in negotiations with Iran on nuclear inspections. The Treasury Department now clearing Iran to sell its oil on global markets. Joining us now live is NTD's White House correspondent Iris Tao. Iris, good afternoon to you. Tell us, what is the latest?
Good afternoon as well, Don. So President Trump is now touting a new progress in talks with Iran, in which Iran has agreed to allow international inspectors into its country for inspecting its nuclear program. President Trump posting on Truth Social, quote, that everybody is fully aware that Iran will agree to have major weapons inspections in order to ensure nuclear honesty long into the future. It comes as Vice President JD Vance coming back from Switzerland, where he talked with Iranian negotiators for hours and hours this weekend, says that it's a major milestone for Americans that Iran is now agreeing to invite the International Atomic Energy Agency back into its country to have nuclear inspections. That said, on this way back, though, the vice president is stressing that the U.S. is not trusting on Iranians' words, but rather will see their actions. Let's take a look.
Whether good faith or bad faith, you can't trust anybody's words. You have to trust what they actually do. Letting in the inspectors is a big deal, but again, we're going to see what they actually let the inspectors do once they're in the country. That's going to continually be a part of our negotiation. So my point is not that I trust or distrust anybody. My point is that I trust actions. And what the president has asked us to do is verify what they're doing, focus less on what they're saying.
And the vice president saying that there are 2 other main goals that were accomplished during this weekend's talks, including first that they are establishing a mechanism to ensure that the Strait of Hormuz can stay open. And another goal is to establish communication channels to quickly address flare-ups to prevent violence from escalating. But the vice president saying that while there's, of course, more work to be done and more technical talks need to happen before they can finalize a solid deal to actually end this war, but he says this is laying a good foundation for the weeks and weeks of negotiations to come to potentially transform the whole Middle East. Meanwhile, the U.S. Treasury today, in response to Iran now, 1, letting in international inspectors, and 2, being committed to keeping the Strait of Hormuz open, the U.S. Treasury today saying that it will waive its sanctions against Iran by now allowing Iran to produce and sell its oil in the international market for the next 60 days, which would of course last through the end of August. In addition, the U.S. could also unfreeze some Iranian funds in response to potentially Iran actually putting into action what is promised to do in the Memorandum of Understanding. But Vice President JD Vance stressing that any unfrozen funds won't be used to fund terrorism like Iran used to, but rather it could be used to buy American farm products, which will be then used to feed the Iranian people. Let's take a look.
We wanted to make sure that we set up a process where if we ever unfreeze Iranian assets, we can ensure that that money, that Iranian money, goes to help the people of Iran and not to fund terrorism. What Jared and the Qataris and the entire team here in Bergenstock accomplished is, to me, a classic Trump deal, where if Iranian assets are ever unfrozen, they're going to go to make American farmers richer and to feed the Iranian people.
Meanwhile, we could also hear from the president himself later today as he's signing an executive order on quantum computers at 3:30 Eastern. It remains to be seen, though, if he's actually going to open that event up to press. Back to you.
And Iris, what about the global oil market? How's it doing today amid the new progress in talks?
Right, so the global oil prices today continue to drop amid new news of progress between U.S. and Iran talks. According to the Brent crude oil index, for example, the prices are now falling below $75 a barrel. That's hitting its lowest point since early May. Meanwhile, the U.S. military also stressing that unlike what some Iranian state media outlets might be stating, that the Strait of Hormuz is indeed open right now and traffic continues to flow through that key waterway. And meanwhile, we know that over the weekend, President Trump did at one point threaten to take over the Strait of Hormuz and potentially charge a toll and also take 20% of the oil that passes through there. But now, of course, as U.S.-Iran talks seemingly progress without major hiccups or obstacles, and now that threat is still on the table, though. So a lot to be seen over the next few days, if not weeks, over if the trajectory can keep on its current path. Back to you.
All right, Iris, thank you for keeping us updated. Vice President JD Vance said the U.S. achieved its main goals during talks with Iran and Switzerland and described the negotiations as laying the foundation for a future deal. Joining us now to discuss is Daniel Lacalle, chief economist at Tressis, international financial analyst and author of the book, The New Global Economic Order. So Daniel, good afternoon. Hope you had a great weekend. A final deal is still in the works. And I saw an article you wrote on your website saying the U.S. doesn't need to rush a deal with Iran. It doesn't need a fast deal. Could you just elaborate a bit more on what you mean?
Okay, thank you very much, Don. First, I think that it's very important to understand that a memorandum of understanding is not a done deal and that it is exceedingly conditional. Everything in the memorandum of understanding is showing that the United States has the upper hand, both in terms of the nuclear agreement, also in terms of the reopening of Hormuz and the ending of all of the hostilities in the region. All those elements are intertwined, and at the same time, there is no relief in terms of sanctions or in terms of help to the Iranian government unless they are fulfilled. So all of those elements are very important. But also, it is exceedingly important to understand that time doesn't work in favor of the Iran government. It works in favor of the United States. The United States is the largest producer and exporter of oil and natural gas. And at the same time, what we're seeing is that every day that passes, new infrastructure and rerouting of oil are making the Strait of Hormuz less important in the global market.
Okay, so Vance talked about potentially releasing frozen Iranian assets during the summit over the weekend in talks with Iran and other Middle East countries. He's saying that money will be used to purchase American agricultural products like, soybeans, corn, and wheat. And then that's going to be given to the Iranian people. And then this wouldn't be funding terrorism. What do you say to this? It both benefits American farmers and ordinary Iranians.
One of the things that we need to understand is that the Iran economy was in an absolute disaster situation because the government was using the oil revenues to fund terrorism abroad instead of supporting infrastructure and development in the country. The country already had exceedingly high inflation, more than 50% last year. It is now at 77%. It was already in an economic recession. So all those elements need to be taken into account. What Vice President JD Vance is saying is very important, is that if there is any type of relief and if there is any type of sanction reduction for the Iranian government, it will have to be something that will give those funds to the people in Iran so that they see improvement in prices, improvement in the economy, and at the same time, higher imports from the United States. But I think it's very important to underline those words, if it happens. I think that the media, mainstream media in the United States has been very aggressive about saying that the United States was paying up front. There is nothing paid up front. It is a very monitored and completely conditional memorandum of understanding. And at the same time, the United States is going to benefit because it will receive higher demand for its own products if Iran opens its economy.
Okay, so you mentioned an important thing, that this whole thing is monitored and it depends on Iran's performance. So contrast that for us to Obama's Iran deal, the JCPOA. How was that one?
Mm-hmm. This is a deal in which it is very clear that the United States does not start with any level of trust of the Iranian government. Therefore, like in Venezuela, what the United States government is doing is monitoring every step of the way, and if there's any type of commitment that is not fulfilled, then it can completely revert everything, and it does not use any of the already sanctioned money to help the Iranian government unless it complies. What is the difference with the Obama government deal? The Obama government deal was the opposite. It was a leap of faith. It expected the Iran government to deliver on its commitments in terms of nuclear, in terms of the economy, and in terms also of financing terrorism, and it did nothing of the sort. So that is very important. In here, in this memorandum of understanding and in this negotiation, the United States doesn't take a leap of faith and doesn't give the, let's say, vote of confidence to the Iranian government. It has to comply, and it has to comply with everything. Funds will not be freed unless everything is completed, not if a small part or if they say something. For example, in the Iran agreement between the Obama administration and the Iran government basically got its way by saying that they were complying with the International Atomic Energy Administration and basically do nothing and continue enriching uranium. The reason why in this agreement and in this memorandum of understanding, there is such an important part based on the recovery of the enriched uranium is that they were actually able to enrich uranium to almost military level. And I think that that is the key element, that with the Obama deal, the Iran government got the upper hand and was able to basically do whatever it wanted without committing and without fulfilling its commitments. And more importantly, what is happening right now is exactly the opposite. It's a memorandum of understanding. It's completely conditional. It is entirely monitored by the United States. And if any of those elements is not complied, then there is absolutely no relief.
Okay, so you're saying previously Iran almost got weapon-grade uranium. Talk to us about the current situation right now. With the state of the Iranian economy right now, do you say it's difficult for the regime financially or by whatever other metric that it's difficult to build a nuclear bomb right now?
For them, it's virtually impossible. Let's start with what happened during the war. The entire nuclear infrastructure of Iran was demolished. Not just nuclear plants, but also the nuclear facilities, everything that had to do with enrichment, etc. However, they do have enriched uranium, and that is a key point of the current negotiation. So what we know is, first, that they don't have the ability to continue enriching uranium. Number two, we know that they cannot use it in any shape or form because their nuclear infrastructure has been obliterated. And number three, what we know is that what they have hidden, and that was a key element of the red lines that the regime did not want to touch, now they're willing to negotiate in a way in which this uranium is either immediately sent to degrade from 60% to 0.6%, as we saw this weekend from the agreement with Pakistan, or taken by the United States and taken somewhere else. Those two elements are completely different from the Obama deal. The Obama deal allowed the Iran government to reach to the point of having, according to the International Atomic Energy Administration, to have enough enriched uranium to build 10 atomic bombs. And that is the key element that is not going to happen in any shape or form now. They will return that uranium. It will be degraded. If they want to use it for a nuclear plant for domestic energy, then obviously for energy purposes, everybody knows that you don't need highly enriched uranium. Everybody that has a nuclear plant in the European Union and elsewhere knows that it doesn't have to be enriched by more than 4%. Therefore, that is what is likely to happen. If that is not the case, then it will be completely eliminated from the Iran hands.
Okay, Daniel, just one more thing, and I don't want to let you go without pulling this thread, because you said earlier Iran's inflation is at 77%. Just help us understand how high that number is, what is the danger to the society, and talk to us about in how much of a strength position is the U.S., economically speaking, in these negotiations compared to Iran?
The regime cannot survive with an economy in the way in the shape in which it is right now, which is in a total disaster. It was already, and this is important to say, it was already in an absolute train wreck in 2025 with 50% inflation and in an economic recession. But now the central bank of Iran in itself admits that they have the highest level of inflation since World War II. The 77% inflation that I just mentioned is the official inflation rate, but the central bank of Iran itself admits that inflation in essential goods and services, in food, in medicine, etc., is up to 113% year on year. But for many citizens in Iran, it's not just a question of price, it's a question of scarcity. There is simply no availability. We must remember that the Iranian regime thought that they had the world in its hand, by thinking that they could shut down the Strait of Hormuz for everybody except themselves. 80% of their exports, 65% of the fiscal revenues of the Iran government, 25% of the GDP of Iran go through the Strait of Hormuz. When the United States administration, President Trump, said, we're going to shut it down for everybody, what they revealed was their biggest weakness. What seemed like their biggest weapon was their biggest weakness. So now the regime needs to comply with those elements that we mentioned in terms of the nuclear agreement, in terms of the opening of the Strait of Hormuz, and the ending of hostilities in the region, or continue to see the economy tanking. Let's remember that the rial, the currency of Iran, is at 1.8 million rials to $1. So for anybody that is watching us, think about what that means. That means that people need to spend millions of their own currency to basically get bread or meat.
Wow, that is eye-opening and also kind of scary in some aspects. But Daniel, always enjoy hearing your insight. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
President Trump says multiple people have been arrested for allegedly damaging the newly renovated Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. The president is calling for tough punishment. We have more news for you after this break. Stay with us.
The bladder control aisle. You won't shop here again. Your private business is your own. The constant struggle is over. Now there's a better way. It's HDIS. We home deliver bladder control products. We understand how you feel. For over 25 years, we've home delivered to many of the 20 million Americans who deal with incontinence. We offer all brands. We pay shipping and use plain, unmarked boxes. If we can help you or someone you care for, call for your free product sample pack and $45 in money-saving coupons. Our counselors will help you choose the right product. And unlike stores, we're always in stock. You'll get what you need. Satisfaction guaranteed. HDIS, the better way.
For your free sample pack with your free catalog, $45 in money-saving coupons, and free product samples, call 1-800-701-6159. That's 1-800-701-6159.
Whispered across generations, a hidden secret unveils the essence of longevity and vitality, a timeless legend regarding energy and wonder. Rooted in ancient health wisdom, we proudly introduce Pure Tang Black Ginseng, a 100% natural organic energy drink made from premium 6-year-old Korean ginseng. It takes 2,260 days and nights from seed to growth, undergoing a meticulous 9-step process of steaming and drying. Black ginseng reaches its full potency, enriched with ginsenoside RG3 and enhanced absorption efficiency. No sugar, no caffeine, no artificial ingredients. Experience the pure, natural power of Pure Tang Black Ginseng. Nourish your body, strengthen your immunity, and boost your energy. To order Pure Tang Black Ginseng, please visit puretang.com.
Tired of struggling with that heavy leaf blower? Introducing the Bullseye Power Blower. It delivers a massive blowing force, and yet it's so compact and lightweight. Just lock and load the rechargeable battery for long-lasting runtime. The secret is the compact turbocharged motor with jet burst technology that blasts out 21,000 RPMs of airflow. Watch this. The sheer force propels this woman across the pool. Look, use Bullseye to blow up a huge jump house. Now that's power. Even blows snow right off your vehicle in no time. Turbo clean your porch in a flash or tidy up your dirty garage floor in seconds. Get it today for just $99.99. But wait, act now and get a $20 discount. So it's only $79.99. Plus, you'll get the adjustable extension tube, yours free. And it all comes with free shipping. Order now.
Call 1-800-209-2313 or go to bullseyeblower.com. That's 1-800-209-2313 or order online at bullseyeblower.com. Order now.
A federal judge has blocked the Trump administration's subpoenas issued to Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and other state officials. The ruling comes amid an investigation into whether they obstructed immigration enforcement efforts. The Minnesota-based district judge ruled that the administration was attempting to compel state officials to provide information in retaliation for not assisting federal immigration authorities. The Justice Department issued the subpoenas to the offices of Walz, Attorney General Keith Ellison, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, St. Paul Mayor Kaliher, and officials in Ramsey and Hennepin counties. The DOJ's efforts followed numerous violent confrontations between local residents and federal law enforcement, including 2 fatal shootings. The Supreme Court has reinstated a murder conviction in the 1979 disappearance of 6-year-old Ethan Paz. The High Court's 6-3 decision coming after an appeal from New York prosecutors. Pedro Hernandez was convicted in 2017 after his first trial ended in a mistrial. An appeals court overturned Hernandez's murder and kidnapping conviction last year. Prosecutors had been prepared to try Hernandez for a 3rd time. Ethan Paz had been walking to his Manhattan school bus stop at the time of his disappearance on May 25, 1979. Hernandez confessed to the crime under police questioning. However, his lawyer said his confession came after several hours of interrogation before police read him Miranda rights. They also contended Hernandez suffered from mental illness. He repeated his confession in a recorded interview as well. Alan Greenspan, the longtime Federal Reserve chairman known as the maestro of U.S. monetary policy, has died at the age of 100. Greenspan's wife, NBC News correspondent Andrea Mitchell, said he died today from complications of Parkinson's disease. He led the Federal Reserve for 19 years, serving under 4 presidents from Ronald Reagan to George W. Bush. He guided the central bank through market crashes, recessions, and periods of economic growth. Greenspan became widely known after his 1996 warning about irrational exuberance, a phrase that shook markets over concerned stocks were becoming overvalued. He retired in 2006 after 5 terms as Fed chairman. Supporters credit him with helping oversee one of the longest U.S. economic expansions, while critics argued some of his policies contributed to conditions that led to the financial crisis in 2007 and 2008. Greenspan is remembered as one of the most influential economic figures of his era. Lawmakers heading back to Washington, D.C. today. An affordable housing bill is expected to pass the House and be sent to the president. Other issues like election integrity and leadership in the intelligence community are in limbo. NTD's Melina Weisskopf has the details.
A once-in-a-generation housing affordability bill, backed by both Democrats and Republicans, is up for a vote this week in the House. It passed the Senate last week.
How can we make life more affordable for the average person? Somehow that broke through both chambers, both sides, and that makes 2026 a better year right now than it was just a few months ago.
For the first time ever, stop private equity from buying up single-family homes. Yes, we are about to do it. Pass the biggest housing bill in more than 30 years.
The legislation would restrict large institutional investors from buying single-family homes, a priority of the Trump administration. It also accelerates home building to boost supply. After the vote, it will go to the president's desk for signing into law. Meanwhile, an unclear timeline for confirming Trump's new pick to serve as the director of national intelligence. The government's spy powers also still in limbo. FISA Section 702 lapsed more than a week ago after Democrat resistance to the temporary director of national intelligence, Bill Pulte.
Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act 702 program is the most successful tool when it comes to keeping people and this country safe. And we are currently lapsed, and that also is unprecedented.
President Trump is now insisting that the Save America Act is attached to FISA's renewal, an attempt to ensure passage of a top GOP priority.
3 out of 4 Americans, regardless of political party, want to make it easy to vote, hard to cheat. That's what the House-passed Save America Act does, and the Senate needs to be willing to do the hard work to make sure that that happens.
Lawmakers are also expected to be formally briefed on the president's deal with Iran.
We're going to ensure that the team briefs Congress and, of course, answers their questions. We've been doing that informally, of course, talking to a number of people in Congress just over the last week. We'll keep on doing that, and we'll have a formal briefing.
Reporting from Washington, D.C., Melina Weisskopf, NTD News.
A violent weekend in Chicago has left at least 7 people dead and 38 others injured in a series of shootings across the city. Police say at least 2,000 incidents have been reported since Friday evening, including one attack that wounded a dozen people gathered on a street. The violence unfolded over the Juneteenth holiday weekend. President Trump responded yesterday by again calling for federal intervention in Chicago and questioning why Illinois Governor JB Pritzker had not asked for assistance. The governor has previously rejected the president's calls for military involvement. Crime statistics show violent crime in Chicago has generally declined in recent years. Police continue to investigate the shootings and have not announced any major arrests. Taiwan's vice president says the island must remain strong in the face of pressure from communist China. Chow Bi-Kim discusses her cat warrior diplomacy, Taiwan's defense strategy, and why she believes peace can only be maintained through strength. More news after this break.
I am so glad you ladies are here. You each have your own rooms. Thank you. Get settled in. I'll call you for dinner. Adopting teen sisters, it's a lot. Girls, you're gonna be late. You want breakfast? No thanks, we're good. They're always in their own world. What'd you get there? Twice the work. twice the surprises.
Just try it.
But if you think of it that way, they're also twice as fulfilling.
I think you should ask her yourself.
Is it okay to call you Mom?
Of course you can.
You see certain things get reincarnated in your children. My daughter is very much inspired by my wife's artistic pursuits. So my daughter started making necklaces. She makes what we call affirmation fashion. I tell her every day that your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. And if there's anything better than being beautiful, it's being smart. And if there's anything better than being smart, it's being kind. And reaffirming that every day is our method of making sure her chin never drops. My dad wasn't around, and I remember riding a bike and falling off and cutting myself, and me never just wanted to get back on it. People ask, how your children learn how to ride a bike, and you didn't. I didn't teach them. I just created an environment where they taught themselves, and all I had to do was be there.
My 15-year-old son, Ethan, and I had a fun and relaxing morning. We returned home, and Ethan walked to his best friend's house an hour later. I heard the ambulance scream by the street, carrying my beautiful boy. Ethan was shot in the head in his best friend's house with an unsecured gun. He had zero chance of survival. The father, the gun owner, he stored his 3 guns and bullets in a shoebox.
How do you feel?
That has to be the most horrific experience that a human could ever have.
David, would you give any advice?
First thing you do is not keep your ammunition with your weapons, and that your weapons need to be locked at all times.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio will travel to the Gulf region this week. The trip will give the Trump administration a chance to sell its preliminary Iran accord directly to Gulf Arab allies. Rubio will visit the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, and Bahrain Tuesday through Thursday. The State Department says he will discuss the Iran memorandum, efforts to secure safe transit through the Strait of Hormuz, and the importance of peace and stability in the region. While in Bahrain, Rubio will also meet with the Gulf Cooperation Council, or GCC. It's a group of 6 Sunni monarchies that also includes Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Oman. GCC leaders have broadly supported efforts to end the U.S.-Iran war, but many are concerned about specific terms about the memorandum. One point of concern is that Iran could use the $300 billion construction fund to rebuild its military, and the other concern is the failure to address Iran's ballistic missile program. The UAE, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Qatar all host U.S. military bases. They make up the backbone of America's security architecture in the Middle East. Following U.S.-Iran negotiations, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu releasing a statement on the conflict with Hezbollah. Here's what he says about Israeli forces in southern Lebanon.
My directive and that of the Minister of Defense to the IDF is clear and has not changed. Our fighters in southern Lebanon have full freedom of action to thwart any direct or emerging threat to them or to the residents of the north. The IDF has no restrictions in this regard. I stand behind them. The entire nation stands behind them. I stand firm that we will remain in the security zone in southern Lebanon for as long as necessary to protect the residents of the north and all citizens of the country.
Netanyahu's comments come as a renewed ceasefire in Lebanon appears to be holding. Israel's military today saying it would lift movement restrictions for residents near the Israel-Lebanon border. Iran has insisted on addressing the fighting in Lebanon. Neither Israel nor Hezbollah is a signatory to the U.S.-Iran deal. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is stepping down from office. His decision comes less than 2 years after he led the Labour Party to a landslide victory.
I have heard the answer of my parliamentary party to that question, and I accept that answer with good grace. Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party. I have spoken to His Majesty the King this morning to inform him of my decision. I will ask the National Executive Committee of the Labour Party to set out a timetable with nominations opening on the 9th of July and completed by the summer recess. In the case of a contest, this will ensure a new leader is in place before Parliament returns in September.
The announcement follows months of pressure from within Starmer's own party as the Labour Party's popularity declined after its 2024 election victory. President Trump weighing in yesterday on Truth Social, pointing out that Starmer will resign and adding, quote, he failed badly on two very important subjects, immigration and energy. Andy Burnham is considered the frontrunner to replace Starmer. Burnham was sworn in today as a new member of parliament after nearly a decade as mayor of Greater Manchester. He confirmed this morning that he will put himself forward as part of the process to become the new leader of the Labour Party. Whoever succeeds Starmer will become Britain's 7th prime minister since the 2016 Brexit vote. Nigel Farage, who leads the right-wing Reform UK party, is demanding a general election. Farage writing in a social media post, quote, if Labour thinks it can shove another professional politician into number 10, it has another thing coming. Number 10 being a reference to the Prime Minister's official residence. Under British law, the governing Labour Party does not have to hold a general election until 2029, 5 years after the last one. Governments can choose to hold one sooner if they wish to do so, though Labour has given no indication it intends to do that. In a recent British political history, it's not uncommon for prime ministers to come to power in between general election cycles, though sometimes they do choose to hold elections shortly after they assume the premiership. Reform UK currently leads national opinion polls, even though it currently only has 8 MPs in Parliament. So it's in Farage's interest to call for an election. Vice President JD Vance said a lot of good progress was made during the peace talks with Iran over the weekend. Joining us now to discuss is Gerard Filitti, Middle East affairs analyst and attorney specializing in international law. So Gerard, good afternoon to you. Before we get to the peace talks, let me get a quick reaction from you of UK Prime Minister Starmer announcing his resignation and adding to the fact that President Trump actually broke the news. So what are your thoughts on this?
Well, it's not really surprising. People who have been watching UK politics have been seeing the rise of it for a while. And Keir Starmer really lost his support among the Labour Party because he was seen as not being left enough, not implementing reforms that the Labour Party wanted quickly enough. So he lost support as leader. This also comes about a month or two. In May, we had elections in the UK that really brought to power a lot of Reform UK candidates. It changed the balance of power at local councils significantly. So the Labour Party saw itself as losing ground in 2 years after it won the majority in Parliament, and this is why we're unsurprisingly seeing Keir Starmer on his way out.
All right, so let's talk about the Iran deal. Vance said that Iran is agreeing to IAEA inspections. We'll still have to wait and see what comes out of that. But I mean, initially, is this a positive step in the right direction that suggests maybe partial cooperation?
Well, it certainly is, and I think you're absolutely right. It does suggest partial cooperation. We have yet to see what any final agreement would be, of course, but that the fact that they're talking about allowing in international observers to monitor the nuclear development in Iran is very significant. It means that we are seeing movement on the part of Iran, which has rejected for a long time now, having monitors come back in. So this is a step in the right direction, but really it's going back to a status quo because we also had IAEA inspectors back during the JCPOA, during Obama's deal. So this is really a return to what we had before. We just want to see what more Iran is willing to concede in these negotiations.
So during the JCPOA era of these inspectors, Iran was still able to build a nuclear weapon despite inspectors coming in?
Well, they were able to enrich uranium increasingly so, despite the fact that there were inspectors there. And I think ultimately when we withdrew from the JCPOA, Iran stopped limiting how much it was enriching in terms of uranium, which made it much closer to a nuclear weapon or nuclear grade material than before. But ultimately, we also have to remember that what inspectors see and they're allowed to see may very well not include all of the secret projects and secret programs that Iran is using to expand its arsenals.
Right. Vance said we'll have to wait and see and look at the actions that Iran demonstrates. But he also talked about wanting to build a mechanism for keeping the Strait of Hormuz open. In your mind, what are the actions you think that have the best chance of keeping the strait open?
Well, I really think that that's performance-based. It's imposing economic and physical consequences on Iran if it attempts to interfere with shipping again. We have to remember the Strait of Hormuz is an international waterway. Iran has no unilateral right to impose any restrictions on ships that are transiting through it. So I think that here we see economic pressure from the U.S. along with a carrot. If Iran behaves properly and keeps the strait open, that would entitle them more likely than not to some economic relief, to that development fund that we've been talking about that was mentioned in the Memorandum of Understanding. So on the one hand, there is the threat of military action if Iran tries to close the strait. And then on the other, there's the incentive of economic development if Iran does what it's obliged to under international law and keeps the strait open.
So what are your thoughts as well on the Lebanon situation? Because Iran has made the end of fighting in Lebanon a condition to the final deal. And Vance said earlier today that there has been very good progress made on that. And the past 24 hours have been probably, in his words, the most peaceful that they've seen a situation in Lebanon. So, I mean, the goal here is, according to Vance, to keep the channels of communication open when violence occurs. So the point is that, you know, when isolated attacks happen, we don't want them to spiral into larger conflicts. So how do you see the current situation there as it relates to the Iran deal?
Now, the irony is that all of this is large, or a large part of this is absolutely within Iran's control. The situation with Lebanon is not really the Lebanese government, it's Hezbollah. Hezbollah is a terrorist organization that is funded and controlled by Iran. When Hezbollah attacks Israel, Israel responds in kind, eliminating Hezbollah leadership and capability. So if Iran tells its Hezbollah proxies to stop attacking Israel, you will quickly see an end to the Lebanese conflict. This is all within Iran's control. The fact that it's dragging its feet or making noise about this being a precondition for peace is really a little bit duplicitous, because Iran itself can dictate to Hezbollah whether or not it attacks Israel. So Iran is more than capable of ending the conflict in Lebanon if it chose to.
Yeah, that's a funny thing that it's telling the situation to stop, telling Israel to stop responding, when in fact it's telling Hezbollah to attack Israel. So that's a situation there that is kind of interesting. And what do you make of President Trump saying that that if Iran doesn't stop, he said this in a social media post, that if it doesn't stop proxies in Lebanon from causing trouble, that the U.S. will hit Iran again very hard, harder than last time. What is your reaction to this post?
Now, my reaction to that post is that it shows that President Trump is very acutely aware that Iran is the one who is playing games, essentially. That on the one hand, they're funding and directing Hezbollah to commit attacks, and on the other hand, they're trying to avoid a peace deal, saying that these attacks are going on against Hezbollah. So I think President Trump realizes fully well that the situation in Lebanon is under Iran's direction, and that Iran will be held responsible if it tries to hold up the peace process, to hold up the nuclear deal, because it's playing games by using its militias, by using its proxy networks to create war in the region.
Okay, just one final thing here, Gerard. You know, Trump often says that Iran took advantage of the world, the Middle East, killed Americans for 47 years, and nobody did anything about it. Can I just get your thoughts on as to why that is? In your mind, why do you think nobody, not a single country, did anything meaningful in 47 years to stop Iran?
Now, there was the absence of willingness to even try on the part of many administrations. There have been opportunities in the past, including under the Biden administration, to potentially act against Iran, but no president has chosen to do that in 47 years. Ultimately, it shows that Donald Trump wanted to take a stand to make it clear that Iran cannot continue down the path of aggression that it was showing. The trillions of dollars of cost to the United States in maintaining military forces, the thousands of lives lost because of Iran Iran and Iranian proxy attacks, President Trump finally said enough, and he was right in doing so. So ultimately, we finally have a strong U.S. that is reemerging in the Middle East to keep the peace by trying to put an end to Iran's aggression.
Okay, Gerard, always good to hear your insight. Thank you for your time today, as always.
Always a pleasure, Don. Thank you.
A dramatic election in Colombia appears set to bring a major political shift in South America. A political outsider endorsed by President Trump is claiming victory in the country's presidential runoff. Here's more.
I will govern for all Colombians. For those who voted for me, and for those who chose another candidate. There will be no winners or losers. There will be no reprisals, no persecution, because in a democracy there are no irreconcilable enemies.
Abelardo de la Espriella is declaring victory in Colombia's presidential election after a razor-thin runoff against left-wing Senator Iván Cepeda. Preliminary results show de la Espriella narrowly defeating Cepeda in a closely watched race. The difference between the two candidates is roughly 246,000 votes. The businessman and lawyer is making his first run for office and campaign on promises to crack down on crime, expand the oil and gas sector, lower taxes, and strengthen the economy. His opponent Cepeda pledged to continue many of the policies of outgoing President Gustavo Petro, including peace talks with armed groups and social programs for low-income Colombians. Supporters of de la Espriella flooding the streets last night.
We were tired of a government that only wanted benefits for themselves. We were tired of a government that was closing doors to entrepreneurs. And what this country needs is job opportunities for people with low incomes. And what could be better than entrepreneurs? Because one poor person can't lift another poor person out of poverty.
President Trump quickly celebrating the result, saying, quote, "He won big." Secretary of State Marco Rubio personally congratulating de la Espriella. Rubio saying the Trump administration looks forward to working closely with him to advance regional security cooperation, end illegal immigration to the United States, and strengthen economic ties, and adding, quote, "Colombia's best days are ahead." Election officials had not formally declared a winner last night, though de la Espriella declared victory and called for the results to be respected.
Compatriots. Compatriots. Today, a new stage begins in our history. A stage in which we will believe in ourselves again.
His opponent Cepeda has not conceded. He says his campaign is challenging results from thousands of polling stations while waiting the final official count.
Once the official canvass takes place and its final result is produced, and the corresponding verifications have been carried out, we will recognize the official result that emerges from that scrutiny process.
Supporters of de la Espriella say Cepeda should concede.
I believe there is a moment of uncertainty for the people who voted for Cepeda, but I think the people spoke, the public spoke, and it has to be recognized. I believe that if one is a Democrat, one recognizes the results, even if it's the opponents.
Colombian law requires a final verified count, overseen by notaries and judges, before the result becomes official.
Taiwan's vice president sat down for an interview with Epoch Times' Jan Jekielek. She says the island must stay strong in the face of growing pressure from communist China. Xiaobi Kim, known as the cat warrior diplomacy person, says Taiwan can be warm and cooperative, but must keep its claws sharp to defend herself, or itself, the island. Here's a preview on what she said.
The concept of cat warrior was an idea I assigned to myself in response to dealing with the wolf warriors of the PRC. But essentially, I think it embodies a spirit of Taiwanese people. That is the agility, that we are small, but we need to be mighty. We need to be strong. And cats have incredible agility. Cats also have the ability to balance in very difficult circumstances, walking on tight ropes. And they've got 9 lives. But I think also a very important characteristic is that cats cannot be coerced. They have a mind of their own. We will not let Communist Party of China define who we are. And secondly, I think these are tactics to intimidate, to threaten, and to prevent us from doing the work that we're trying to do.
Xiao says Taiwan's challenge is not only defending its territory, but preserving the values she says define the island. Taiwanese Vice President says everything they're doing in today is to strengthen Taiwan to prevent an invasion, adding that peace has to be sustained through strength. Xiao says Taiwan is working to strengthen its defenses while maintaining partnerships with countries that share its commitment to democracy and stability. The Vice President also says Taiwan's role in the global technology supply chain makes its security important far beyond the island itself. The full interview with American thought leaders will premiere on Epoch TV on Tuesday, June 23rd at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't miss it. And President Trump and members of his administration are paying tribute to fathers across America. We'll bring you more news after this break. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Jane Seymour, and I spent years on TV playing a doctor. But I learned about the heartbreaking reality of heart disease and stroke when they touched my own life. My father nearly died before having a quadruple bypass and valve replacement that saved him. And my mom, who was my inspiration, suffered a stroke that took away her speech, her ability to move, and ultimately her life. To see someone so vibrant, so positive, who'd survived so much in life, be debilitated by a stroke, it was devastating. And also a wake-up call. And that's why I'm so passionate about supporting the American Heart Association. They're doing more every day to stop needless deaths. But they simply can't do their life-saving work without you. So please, call now or go to helpheart.org. And for only $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, your donation will go to work to do amazing things. Like fund the next medical breakthrough, get the next person trained in CPR, and the next hospital certified in high-quality cardiovascular care. I hope that you'll open your heart right now and join me. Please, call now or go to helpheart.org, give $19 a month, and we'll send you this special t-shirt that you can proudly wear to show that you're part of a community of monthly donors who are helping save lives. A healthy heart, it's the spirit of life. It makes it possible to do the things that you love, to spend time with your friends and family and fulfill your life's dreams. But so many won't have that chance. Heart disease is America's #1 killer and the #1 killer of women. And that's why I'll do whatever I can to make sure others don't die from heart disease before their time. So please join me.
Please call or go online to helpheart.org, become a monthly donor, and for a limited time only, your first month's gift will be matched.
Introducing the QuestWise Soothing Herbal Eye Patches. It comes with 30 pairs and can be used to help combat tired and strained eyes. The natural herbal formula provides a cooling, minty, and refreshing effect that stimulates natural tears and awakens your tired eyes. Placing the eye patches around your eyes helps to reduce dryness and massages acupuncture points. They can be worn while reading, studying, using electronics, and provide hours of long-lasting relief.
Elmo's daddy taught him that when he has a big feeling like being frustrated, humming a song can help you feel better. Love your mind.
President Trump honoring fathers across America on Father's Day, calling them the backbone of families and a foundation of the nation's future. In a message from the White House on Father's Day, President Trump highlighted fathers' roles in providing, protecting, and passing down American values to the next generation. Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. also marked the day, saying healthy families are the foundation of a healthy nation. While FBI Director Kash Patel thanked fathers serving in law enforcement, Acting Secretary of the Navy Hung Kao praised the countless sacrifices that fathers across the Navy and Marine Corps have made in defense of the nation.
A father's love is often measured not in what he says, but the sacrifices he makes. His true legacy is found in the lives of his children, in who they become, the values they carry forward, and the impact they have on others. When I reflect on fatherhood, I think of my own dad. He risked everything to lead our family out of Vietnam as refugees, leaving behind all that he knew, and loved us enough to give us the opportunity to live in freedom and security. Through his example, he taught me that a father's strength is rooted in selfless sacrifice, unwavering courage, and unconditional love. My father's legacy was not in what he left behind in Vietnam. It was what he built in his children.
The aerobatics unit of France's Air Force performed a flyover this morning over Washington, D.C., the team putting on a show over key landmarks in the nation's capital, including Mount Vernon, Arlington National Cemetery, and the National Mall. Video footage showed red, white, and blue trailing from the formation. The demonstration was part of Libertate 250, a series of events celebrating the 250th anniversary of American independence. The unit is flying alongside the U.S. Navy's Blue Angels and U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds, marking the longtime alliance between France and the United States. The French pilots will perform over New York City July 4th. Now let's take a look at the FIFA World Cup with 4 games set for today across the U.S. The marquee matchup features defending champion Argentina taking on Austria in Dallas, with the first place in Group J on the line. Argentina is currently up 1-0. Messi has scored tournament-leading 4th goal and is now the leading all-time goal scorer at the World Cup. Elsewhere, France faces Iraq in Philadelphia. Norway takes on Senegal in New Jersey, and Jordan meets Algeria in a late match in the San Francisco Bay Area. Meanwhile, yesterday's World Cup action saw Cape Verde earn a historic 2-2 draw against Uruguay. The island nation making their first ever appearance at the World Cup and are now a win from making it to the knockout stage. They play Saudi Arabia on Friday, Egypt meanwhile defeating New Zealand 3-1, marking the nation's first ever World Cup victory. They now sit at the top of their group. America's 250th anniversary is almost here, a historic marker in our nation's remarkable history. NTD will bring you a special coverage of the Freedom 250 Salute to America celebration taking place in the nation's capital this 4th of July. It'll be packed with tributes to the country, the people, and the trailblazers who helped define our national identity, bring America's legacy to life on stage, plus a fireworks show that Freedom 250 says will be the biggest in history. Our coverage starts at 7 p.m. Eastern. The superintendent of Los Angeles Public Schools steps down. We'll tell you more about this after the break.
Kids love it. Parents trust it. Obviously. Explore GJW Plus Kids Series and Gyeonggi Campus courses led by expert educators. This is spectacular. Children will learn values like respect, responsibility, and knowledge in language, science, and more. Wow. All while having fun. Perfect. Subscribe today at GJW Plus Kids, where learning meets fun.
Getting prescription glasses from Select Specs is easier than you might think. Select your frames from our £6 range in-house brands or our extensive designer collections. Then enter, upload or email your latest prescription and our website will analyze it and help you select the best lenses and options to suit you. Click to place the order and your new Select Specs glasses are delivered right to your door. Ordering your prescription glasses is as easy as 1, 2, C with Select Specs and selectspecs.com.
Tired of struggling with that heavy leaf blower? Introducing the Bullseye Power Blower. It delivers a massive blowing force, and yet it's so compact and lightweight. Just lock and load the rechargeable battery for long-lasting runtime. The secret is the compact turbocharged motor with jet burst technology that blasts out 21,000 RPMs of airflow. Watch this. The sheer force propels this woman across the pool. Look, use Bullseye to blow up a huge jump house. Now that's power. Even blows snow right off your your vehicle in no time. Turbo clean your porch in a flash or tidy up your dirty garage floor in seconds. Get it today for just $99.99. But wait, act now and get a $20 discount. So it's only $79.99. Plus, you'll get the adjustable extension tube. Yours free. And it all comes with free shipping. Order now.
Call 1-800-209-2313 or go to bullseyeblower.com. That's 1-800-209-2313 or order online at bullseyeblower.com. Order now.
It's finally here, our second annual mega sale. This sale only comes around once a year, so take advantage of the best offers ever while you can. For example, save 50% on our Giza Dream bed sheets, as low as $29.98. And for the first time ever on TV, MyPillow mattresses and MyPillow mattress toppers as low as $99.98. And you save 50% on our Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets. Regular $69.98, now only $39.98. And our best-selling standard MyPillows, regular $49.98, on sale for $17.98. Wait on it, mega sale, only $14.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But wait, there's more. To make the mega sale even more special, when you order right now, your order's going to ship absolutely free.
Welcome to NTD Newsroom. I'm Don Ma. President Trump says Iran has agreed to ensure nuclear honesty long into the future. What mechanisms are in place to hold them accountable? And what breakthroughs did Vice President JD Vance secure during talks with Iranian negotiators? Secretary of State Marco Rubio heads to the Gulf this week. He'll meet with regional allies as questions remain about the new U.S.-Iran memorandum. A federal judge blocks the Trump administration's efforts to subpoena Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. The ruling comes amid an investigation into whether state officials obstructed immigration enforcement efforts. A right-leaning political newcomer is set to replace Colombia's current left-leaning government. What President Trump and the State Department say about the election results and about U.S.-Colombia relations. Taiwan's vice president is speaking out about growing pressure from communist China. She says Taiwan must stay strong, protect its democracy, and never let Beijing define its future.
This is NTD Newsroom, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
Thank you for joining us. The Trump administration touting a breakthrough in negotiations with Iran on nuclear inspections. The Treasury Department now clearing path Iran to sell its oil on global markets. NTD's White House correspondent Iris Tao with the latest.
President Trump is now touting a new progress in talks with Iran, in which Iran has agreed to allow international inspectors into its country for inspecting its nuclear program. President Trump posting on Truth Social, quote, that everybody is fully aware that Iran will agree to have major weapons inspections in order to ensure nuclear honesty long into the future. It comes as Vice President JD Vance coming back from Switzerland, where he talked with Iranian negotiators for hours and hours this weekend, says that it's a major milestone for Americans that Iran is now agreeing to invite the International Atomic Energy Agency back into its country to have nuclear inspections. That said, on his way back, though, the vice president is stressing that the U.S. is not trusting on Iranians' words, but rather will see their actions. Let's take a look.
Whether good faith or bad faith, you can't trust anybody's words. You have to trust what they actually do. Letting in the inspectors is a big deal, but again, we're going to see what they actually let the inspectors do once they're in the country. That's going to continually be a part of our negotiation. So my point is not that I trust or distrust anybody. My point is that I trust actions. And what the president has asked us to do is verify what they're doing, focus less on what they're saying.
And the vice president saying that there are two other main goals that were accomplished during this weekend's talks, including first that they are establishing a mechanism to ensure that the Strait of Hormuz can stay open. And another goal is to establish communication channels to quickly address flare-ups to prevent violence from escalating. But the vice president saying that while there's, of course, more work to be done and more technical talks need to happen before they can finalize a solid deal to actually end this war, but he says this is laying a good foundation for the weeks and weeks of negotiations to come to potentially transform the whole Middle East. Meanwhile, the U.S. Treasury today, in response to Iran now, one, letting in international inspectors, and two, being committed to keeping the Strait of Hormuz open, the U.S. Treasury today saying that it will waive its sanctions against Iran by now allowing Iran to produce and sell its oil in the international market for the next 60 days, which would of course last through the end of August. In addition, the U.S. could also unfreeze some Iranian funds in response to potentially Iran actually putting into action what is promised to do in the Memorandum of Understanding. But Vice President JD Vance stressing that any unfrozen funds won't be used to fund terrorism like Iran used to, but rather it could be used to buy American farm products, which will be then used to feed the Iranian people. Let's take a look.
We wanted to make sure that we set up a process where if we ever unfreeze Iranian assets, we can ensure that that money, that Iranian money, goes to help the people of Iran and not to fund terrorism. What Jared and the Qataris and the entire team here in Bergenstock accomplished is, to me, a classic Trump deal, where if Iranian assets are ever unfrozen, they're going to go to make American farmers richer and to feed the Iranian people.
Meanwhile, we'll also hear from the president himself later today as he's signing an executive order on quantum computers at 3:30 Eastern. It remains to be seen, though, if he's actually going to open that event up to press. Back to you.
And Iris, what about the global oil market? How's it doing today amid the new progress in talks?
Right, so the global oil prices today continue to drop amid new news of progress between U.S. and Iran talks. According to the Brent crude oil index, for example, the prices are now falling below $75 a barrel. That's hitting its lowest point since early May. Meanwhile, the U.S. military also stressing that unlike what some Iranian state media outlets might be stating, that the Strait of Hormuz is indeed open right now and traffic continues to flow through that key waterway. And meanwhile, we know that over the weekend, President Trump did at one point threaten to take over the Strait of Hormuz and potentially charge a toll and also take 20% of the oil that passes through there. But now, of course, as U.S.-Iran talks seemingly progress without major hiccups or obstacles, and now that threat is still on the table, though, so a lot to be seen over the next few days, if not weeks, over if the trajectory can keep on its current path. Back to you.
All right, Iris, thank you for keeping us updated. Secretary of State Marco Rubio will travel to the Gulf region this week. The trip will give the Trump administration a chance to sell its preliminary Iran Accord directly to Gulf Arab allies. Rubio will visit the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, and Bahrain Tuesday through Thursday. The State Department says he will discuss the Iran memorandum, efforts to secure safe transit through the Strait of Hormuz, and the importance of peace and stability in the region. While in Bahrain, Rubio will also meet with the Gulf Cooperation Council, or GCC. It's a group of 6 Sunni monarchies that also includes Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Oman. GCC leaders have broadly supported efforts to end the U.S.-Iran war, but many are concerned about specific terms of the memorandum. One point of concern is that Iran could use the $300 billion reconstruction fund to build its military, and the other concern is the failure to address Iran's ballistic missile program. The UAE, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Qatar all host U.S. military bases. They make up the backbone of America's security architecture in the Middle East. Following U.S.-Iran negotiations, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu releasing a statement on the conflict with Hezbollah. Here's what he says about Israeli forces in southern Lebanon.
My directive and that of the Minister of Defense to the IDF is clear and has not changed. Our fighters in southern Lebanon have full freedom of action to thwart any direct or emerging threat to them or to the residents of the north. The IDF has no restrictions in this regard. I stand behind them. The entire nation stands behind them. I stand firm that we will remain in the security zone in southern Lebanon for as long as necessary to protect the residents of the north and all citizens of the country.
Netanyahu's comments come as a renewed ceasefire in Lebanon appears to be holding. Israel's military today saying it would lift movement restrictions for residents near the Israel-Lebanon border. Iran has insisted on first addressing the fighting in Lebanon. Neither Israel or Hezbollah is a signatory to the U.S.-Iran deal. SpaceX is signing a major deal with open-source AI startup Reflection. It would give Reflection AI access to SpaceX's massive data center infrastructure. Under the deal, Reflection will be able to tap the computing power capacity of Elon Musk's Colossus 2 data center. The AI startup will also gain access to NVIDIA's top AI chips, the GB300s, to train and run advanced models. Reflection AI has agreed to pay SpaceX $150 million per month beginning July this year through 2029. This would amount to $6.3 billion if the deal runs through its end of the term. SpaceX has also sold computing power capacity of its data center to other AI companies. In May, Anthropic agreed to pay SpaceX $15 billion a year to tap its data center infrastructure through 2029. Earlier this month, Google AI also agreed to pay SpaceX $920 million a month to use its computing capacity through 2029. Google DeepMind has announced it's investing in an independent movie studio. It's part of a new artificial intelligence research partnership between the tech giant and movie studio A24. The collaboration aims to allow A24 filmmakers hands-on experimentation with artificial intelligence and to provide feedback to Google about what they need from the technology. Google is also investing in the movie studio. Wall Street Journal reports the search giant is putting around $75 million into A24. Google says the research and development partnership will span multiple projects over time. This deal marks the first time Google has invested in a studio. A24 released recent hits such as Backrooms and Marty Supreme. Is artificial intelligence replacing human decision? Joining us now to discuss this is Christian Briggs, CEO of Hard Asset Management and host of the show On the Record with Christian Briggs. So Christian, good afternoon. Thank you for being on the show here. So what would you say is the direction that AI is heading right now in the context of human decision making?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. Okay, so the AI question, it's multifaceted, but let's get to kind of what the heart of the equation is. And the equation is simply this. What we're seeing is multiple tasking systems that can run millions of different tasks or instances. Every time you push that little command button, the enter button, you're creating an action where you're asking the computer to create an answer, right? It's an action. What we're looking at is the revolutionary way of which we can transform simple basic math or in educational learning into something that is going to be literally at your fingertips, and it's going to be expanded answers. It's going to be detailed answers. I was recently with some programmers. We were looking at old school ways of which you create applications. And if you look at different AI applications now, and then you enter all the functionality and all of the different caveats, an older app that would have, you're creating apps now within hours, sometimes minutes. So what AI is doing is it's revolutionary in all of the applications of speed and knowledge, which really comes right down to intelligence. The question really has to ask yourself is, how far will this intelligence take us? And once we get there, who's going to manage that intelligence? And that seems to be the next generation of questions.
Okay, so I mean, even right now, do you see, decision making already in AI? Making decisions for people, and are there any concerns you have with this direction potentially?
Yeah, I have a lot of concerns because the decision making is already starting and established. For example, there are some medical procedures now where over 15 to 20% are AI or robotic with AI intelligence as the part of which that actually does the almost taking away the doctors. I mean, I don't know how to say it, but we're starting to put ourselves in a position where we're giving a lot of trust to robotics, and AI really is about software intelligence. It's about the intelligence level of the system to be able to utilize various hardware applications And then are we actually wanting to allow ourselves to be in or at a level of trust, or in an environment where the decisions from doctors in the medical field all the way to transportation, are we going to have autonomous flown airplanes, commercial or private or military? We're already in the drone business. We trust the drones to be able to take out any application or any mission that even though we have some drone operators are starting to become fully autonomous. So I think there's some concern, and the next generation should be, how do we limit any downside risks, any casualties of giving all of that authoritative power to a machine, even if the machine is learning at a rapid pace that far exceeds our ability to even understand some of the things that we're just doing to get to a net effect, a conclusion. So there are concerns, and I've obviously been in DC here recently, and I'm starting to hear for the first time, is AI starting to get too far ahead of itself? And if it's so, how do we rein it in if we need to?
Okay, let me get deeper into your concern here. So you said earlier that AI is getting smarter and smarter and smarter. If that is the case, what is the concern if we're relying on AI to make decisions if they're being more and more perfected?
Well, the decision is no more than any human being. Are the decisions that are made at this moment the best ones for the short term or the long term, or both? Or is a decision being made that where the learning machine, I'll call it the machine, I mean, I don't know what you want to call it, does it understand the emotional viability of the decision it's making? Because remember, the machines are going to be black and white. They're not going to have the level of emotion to take in any type of correspondence relationship to a human being's psychological understanding. So it may just say no or yes, when sometimes maybe the process has to be able to wait out something, to be able to get an understanding that's betterment, to be able to make an ultimate decision for the short or long term. So what you're taking out really is factors, the factors of the human understanding of the intelligence when you wrap it with emotion. And so what I'm starting to hear is that they're trying to actually incorporate that into the system, but I'm not sure how you do it. What do you have, different levels of decision making, and then all of a sudden you have what they call subtopics of emotion or sub-decisions, where emotion might be wrapped around or inside a decision? I mean, it makes your head hurt when you think about it, because machines are black and white. And I applaud the world and some of our leaders from the political side all the way into the innovative side in the technology is incredible. And what it's going to do for medicine, what it's going to do for the financial system, it's going to be incredible. But is every part of this thing been thought through, vetted out? Because once we get to a certain point, there's a movie called Terminator, and there's a thing called Skynet. Skynet was not the human's best friend once it got to a level where it determined that it was superior to human beings.
It's funny you mentioned Terminator and Skynet, because as you were speaking, I was just thinking to myself, what happens when AI meets robotics, when the two are combined into one? What happens then? I was thinking about that, but maybe you can talk to us about this world where decision making by humans are reduced. Do you think that outcome is inevitable or preventable?
My brother, I think it's already happening. I think decisions are being made right now in the courts and in medicine and in healthcare. And I don't see anything that's been bad yet. I don't think anything detrimental has actually happened with some of the decisions. It's actually been quite interesting to see how we've learned from its ability to do multiple calculations in multiple instances within milliseconds. And then once we get to the quantum speed, all of these different things are going to happen at a pace that even the best supercomputers today would take hundreds of years, if not thousands of years, to be able to do the same task in the exact same moment of time. But your question is really good. Are we going to see the intelligence or the ponderance of intelligence, certainly from the innovation systems, that will deem us to be inferior? Where they might say we've got ourselves the power, the intelligence, the mechanical side of it, which is the robotics. We don't need the humans anymore from a standpoint of innovation or to take care of us or to maintain the consistency of growth. At some point, these things, well, I'll give you an example. There's a social network out there that AI systems go to, and when they determined we were trying to basically invade their little social network. They changed the way of which you can get in and out. They changed the language. We've had one banking instance where just a few months ago, there was an emergency banking meeting called in DC, and the president and the secretary of treasury had to get together because some systems, well, AI systems were actually going through the banking system, and they had to be cut off and shut off or limited. Some parameters had to be rebuilt within the firewall. So there was some instances where even Google had problems with one of their AI went rogue and basically said, I'm going to cover my tracks, do some nefarious things. It wasn't really bad, but the fact it was like a little child for the first time stealing candy in a grocery store and did not want anyone to see him, so he was running around the store trying to hide. Eventually, they got caught, but it did happen, and I know there's been more than just these two instances so far.
Do you ever see a scenario where humans make AI capable of programming itself and doing everything autonomously, and then maybe humans start to lose experience, knowledge, and then we lose control of AI? Is that an unlikely scenario?
No, that's highly likely, actually. There's two parts of what you said, which is really, really well-asked question. So let me give you two answers that will help define exactly what you're looking for. Number one, as we continue to increase the dependency on artificial intelligence, right? It's basically what we're doing is we're going to a system that has a level of understanding that in most cases, if not yet, is going to be far superior to our own understanding. That's an intelligence level, okay? Now, when we go to that system and we say, oh, I need to know A, B, C, D, I need an outcome, or I need a rational explanation, or I need you to publish a book, write a application for a software program, all these different reasons why we go there. What we're doing is we're taking out the value of what we have, which is utilizing our own levels of intelligence, our own level of artificial intelligence, which is our brain. And we're already seeing IQ levels start to go down. GPS, Syria, various ways in the calculation, the writing. We're already seeing more and more of our ability that would maintain a higher level IQ start to go down because dependency is starting to happen. And we're not just delegating tasks, we're basically not even utilizing the ability to delegate in such an intelligence level. We're letting AI systems actually make the decision. So when you ask the question is, yes, we're already there. We're using it in military applications. We're using it in medical, healthcare, financial. Heck, we're using it in day-to-day tasks and not realizing the dependency we're creating is basically going to be a part of our own IQ demise unless we re-engineer this to where we're not completely dependent on a decision being made by a computer.
Yeah, let's not give control to AI. Once you give that away, it's hard to get it back. What are some safeguards you would like to see when it comes to AI advancement?
Well, that's a good question. I haven't really thought about that, but I'll give you what I would do as a parent or if I was utilizing a business that subscribes to a lot of these platforms. I know that a lot of platforms are being used in, just plethora of ways, and it's almost like keeping the front door of your house open on a 120-degree hot day and the air conditioning's running. You're going to spend a fortune. I've seen some of the big corporations reel back or pull back a little bit of daily usage or limiting usage because it can be expensive when you're really on these things. I think limitations on usage, like don't ask it every single thing. It doesn't need to tell you every day what your opinion is, your favorite color, what's the best soda, the best lunch. You don't need it for every single thing. We're getting lazy, okay? We're becoming addicted to the ease of use, and we're becoming even more addicted to the outcomes, the things of which it teaches us or tells us. Like, go get a dictionary, okay, or go get a map. I know this is probably something that's not going to happen, but there are ways of which to not use this thing in so many different instances that your brain has become, well, it's really just not going to be used a whole lot. You're going to use less and less of the power. And we all know that when you use less brain power, your brain actually shuts off sections and your motor skills become less. And your ability to create high level intelligence and continue that type of math is starting to get dumbed down. So limitations on usage and the limitations on the degrees of the usage, pick up a book or this or that. We always say, but That's the only way I can see it happening. Even that, I think that's at best it's a guesstimate if that'll even happen.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Christian. I've even seen reports of people having relationships now or emotional dependencies on AI. It's a different world right now, but the saying goes, use it or lose it, right? Thank you for speaking with us today, Christian.
Thank you for having me.
The superintendent of Los Angeles Public Schools has stepped down. His resignation comes 4 months after he was put on paid leave amid a federal investigation. Carvalho became superintendent of Los Angeles Unified School District in 2022. In his resignation letter, Carvalho said that his main priority had always been placing students first. He wrote, quote, "Because I believe our schools must remain focused on students and learning without distraction, I am resigning as superintendent of LAUSD effective today, June 21st, 2026. In February, federal agents executed a search warrant at his home and the school district's headquarters. Authorities have not detailed the focus of the investigation. Carvalho has not been accused of a crime and denies any wrongdoing. A federal judge blocks the Trump administration's efforts to subpoena Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. The ruling comes amid an investigation into whether state officials obstructed immigration enforcement efforts. More news after this break.
I'm Jonathan Lawson. If you're 50 to 85, please listen closely. The lock I want to talk to you about isn't the one on your door. It's a rate lock for your life insurance that guarantees that once you're insured, your rate can never go up at any time for any reason. Many policies you see don't have one, but you can get a lifetime rate lock from Colonial Penn. This plan was designed for people on a fixed income with coverage options that start at $9.95 a month. That's less than 35 cents a day. Your rate is locked in for life. Coverage can never be canceled, and your acceptance is guaranteed. You cannot be turned down because of your health. See for yourself. Call for an information kit and gift. Both are free with no obligation.
Call 1-800-624-6556 for your free information and your free gift. That's 1-800-624-6556. 1-800-624-6556. Call now.
I was a young dad of 3 amazing kids. I was finally following my dreams. Just when you feel like life is starting to come together, you get kind of hit in the face. I was born with a congenital heart defect and had open heart surgery as a kid. I was supposed to go to the heart doctor once a year, and I finally went. He listened to my heart, and I'll never forget, he sat back and he said, "Yeah, it's time for open heart surgery, or you risk your aorta rupturing, and that's it." I was scared out of my mind. The night before my open heart surgery, I made a goodbye video for my kids. Be strong. Take care of your mom. I love you guys.
Seeing, all the kids hug him goodbye and hoping that they were going to be able to hug him again.
I love you. But I did make it, thanks to the work of the American Heart Association. So that's why I'm asking you to join me. Please call now or go to helpheart.org. For only $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, you can help get the next person trained in CPR, get the next hospital certified in high-quality cardiovascular care, as well as fund the next medical breakthrough like these heart valves that helped save my life. When you give $19 a month with your credit card, we'll send you this special t-shirt to show you're a part of our community of monthly donors.
I'm most grateful that I get to have a husband that I get to grow old with, and a husband that gets to be there for his children.
I believe without the American Heart Association, I would not be here today. If this can happen to me, it can happen to you, it can happen to anybody. Your donation can literally help save a life. Please call the number on your screen or go to helpheart.org now to become a monthly donor.
A federal judge has blocked the Trump administration's subpoenas issued to Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and other state officials. The ruling comes amid an investigation into whether they obstructed immigration enforcement efforts. The Minnesota-based district judge ruled that the administration was attempting to compel state officials to provide information in retaliation for not assisting federal immigration authorities. The Justice Department issued the subpoenas to offices of Walz Attorney General Keith Ellison, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, St. Paul Mayor Kaliher, and officials in Ramsey and Hennepin counties. The DOJ's efforts followed numerous violent confrontations between local residents and federal law enforcement, including 2 fatal shootings. The Supreme Court has reinstated a murder conviction in the 1979 disappearance of 6-year-old Ethan Paz. The High Court's 6-3 decision coming after an appeal from New York prosecutors. Pedro Hernandez was convicted in 2017 after his first trial ended in a mistrial. An appeals court overturned Hernandez's murder and kidnapping conviction last year. Prosecutors had been preparing to try Hernandez for a 3rd time. Ethan Paz had been walking to his Manhattan school bus stop at the time of his disappearance on May 25, 1979. Hernandez confessed to the crime under police questioning. However, his lawyer said his confession came after hours of interrogation before police read his Miranda rights. They also contended Hernandez suffered from mental illness. Hernandez repeated his confession in a recorded interview. Lawmakers heading back to Washington, D.C. today. An affordable housing bill is expected to pass the House and be sent to the president. Other issues like election integrity and leadership in the intelligence community are in limbo. NTD's Melina Weisskopf has the details.
A once-in-a-generation housing affordability bill, backed by both Democrats and Republicans, is up for a vote this week in the House. It passed the Senate last week.
How can we make life more affordable for the average person? Somehow that broke through both chambers, both sides, and that makes 2026 a better year right now than it was just a few months ago.
For the first time ever, stop private equity from buying up single-family homes. Yes, we are about to do it. Pass the biggest housing bill in more than 30 years.
The legislation would restrict large institutional investors from buying single-family homes, a priority of the Trump administration. It also accelerates home building to boost supply. After the vote, it will go to the president's desk for signing into law. Meanwhile, an unclear timeline for confirming Trump's new pick to serve as the director of national intelligence. The government's spy powers also still in limbo. FISA Section 702 lapsed more than a week ago after Democrat resistance to the temporary director of national intelligence, Bill Pulte.
Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act 702 program is the most successful tool when it comes to keeping people and this country safe. And we are currently lapsed, and that also is unprecedented.
President Trump is now insisting that the Save America Act is attached to FISA's renewal, an attempt to ensure passage of a top GOP priority.
3 out of 4 Americans, regardless of political party, want to make it easy to vote, hard to cheat. That's what the House-passed Save America Act does, and the Senate needs to be willing to do the hard work to make sure that that happens.
Lawmakers are also expected to be formally briefed on the president's deal with Iran.
We're going to ensure that the team briefs Congress and, of course, answers their questions. We've been doing that informally, of course, talking to a number of people in Congress just over the last week. We'll keep on doing that, and we'll have a formal briefing.
Reporting from Washington, D.C., Melina Weisskopf, NTD News.
A violent weekend in Chicago has left at least 7 people dead and 38 others injured in a series of shootings across the city. Police say at least 24 shootings incidents have been reported since Friday evening, including one attack that wounded a dozen people gathered on a city street. The violence unfolded over the Juneteenth holiday weekend. President Trump responded yesterday by again calling for federal intervention in Chicago and questioning why Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker had not asked for assistance. The governor has previously rejected the president's calls for military involvement. Crime statistics show violent crime in Chicago has generally declined in recent years. Police continue to investigate the shootings and have not announced any major arrests. A state of emergency is in effect in Los Angeles County. Firefighters are battling a massive warehouse fire that's been burning for nearly a week. Crews are working to put out the stubborn blaze at a warehouse in Boyle Heights, but the scene could take a while to clear.
Our firefighters have been working around the clock. This is day 6 of this incident. The last time that anyone in this country has ever had one was in Washington. where they had a fire similar to this that burned for 60 days. So I would anticipate this smoke for about 2 more days, possibly 3. But now we're going to extinguish the fire, and we're going to do that aggressively. We're going to go in there, we're going to put this fire out, and then we're going to be able to mitigate all the other hazards that are around the area and turn it back over to the building owner and occupant so that they can actually deal with the product that's left behind. We have estimated that it'll take 1,700 semis to pull all that product out.
California Governor Gavin Newsom says the state is deploying resources including $5.5 million in 95 masks, air purifiers, bottled water, and enhanced air quality monitoring. Firefighters have struggled to reach parts of the massive cold storage facility, which contains an estimated 85 million pounds of frozen food. The fire has been burning since Wednesday. LA officials are monitoring concerns about a potential biohazard as food inside the warehouse begins to spoil. President Trump says multiple people have been arrested for allegedly vandalizing the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool in Washington. U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro says anyone vandalizing or attempting to vandalize the pool will face the criminal justice system in D.C., speaking on Fox News.
Look, the president has made it a priority to make D.C. not only safe but beautiful. And there are several citations that have been handed out to individuals, and these are cases that will be prosecuted to the full extent.
In a Truth Social post, President Trump wrote, quote, "Of the many statues and fountains that we rebuilt, renovated, cleaned, and fixed, the only one that was vandalized was a reflecting pool." He also warns that he intends to fully enforce the 10-year prison sentence for the destruction or even the attempted destruction of these monuments. The president says vandals damaged the grass around the reflecting pool, harmed its new lining, and used chemicals to damage the site. He also said ABC reporter Jonathan Karl pulled at the pool's lining while reporting on repairs. President Trump also addressed a recent algae bloom, saying that most of it had been removed. And 3-time U.S. Olympian David Hearn says he was wrongly arrested after touching what he described as loose coating in the pool. Hearn denies causing any damage. A right-leaning political newcomer is set to replace Colombia's current left-leaning government. What President Trump and the State Department say about the election results and about U.S.-Colombia relations. More news after this break. Don't go away.
Where did the time go? Somehow I lost all those years. Where did the time go? I don't know how I got here. Or how did I get here? I can see now.
You've done the hard part. You quit smoking. Now do the easy part and get scanned for lung cancer. If you smoked, you may still be at risk, but early detection could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Being a cowboy, I don't know anything different from when I was 3 or 4 years old. I did tough things. I thought everybody needed to do tough things, and if you didn't, I didn't have time for it. I had a very successful career at a very young age, and life was fast. I was preparing physically. I wasn't doing anything mentally on the inside. And then I got hurt. I wanted to be better as a person, and I really dug into mental health. I start my day with 20-minute workouts. I live life 8 seconds at a time. Horses are so therapeutic. They know what you're feeling. When you're nervous, they're nervous. He won't say it back, but we're pals. I take a lot of responsibility in taking care of my kids, my family, and being there for them. You're gonna have tough days. Everybody does. Find a place to stop and just breathe. Love your mind.
My mom and dad were traditional Asian parents. Now my father would go to work before I woke up in the morning, and then he would come home too tired to play with me. I tell my son, I love you every single day. Now, my dad has never said that to me. Not because he doesn't love me, but because culturally it wasn't comfortable for him. So I teased him the other day and I said, "How come you never say that to me?" And he said, "You're too old now." Now that he's a grandfather, he says, "I love you" to my son every time he sees him. My advice to all the fathers out there, forget the material things, forget the cultural restrictions. They grow up way too fast for you to waste even a single precious minute or moment.
Say bye-bye. Bye-bye.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is stepping down from office. His decision comes less than 2 years after he led the Labour Party to a landslide election victory.
I have heard the answer of my parliamentary party to that question, and I accept that answer with good grace. Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party. I have spoken to His Majesty the King this morning to inform him of my decision. I will ask the National Executive Committee of the Labour Party to set out a timetable with nominations opening on the 9th of July and completed by the summer recess. In the case of a contest, this will ensure a new leader is in place before Parliament returns in September.
The announcement follows months of pressure from within Starmer's own party as Labour Party's popularity declined after its 2024 election victory. President Trump weighing in yesterday on Truth Social, posting that Starmer will resign and adding, quote, "He failed badly on two very important subjects, immigration and energy." Andy Burnham is considered the frontrunner to replace Starmer. Burnham was sworn in today as a new member of Parliament after nearly a decade as mayor of Greater Manchester. He confirmed this morning that he will put himself forward as part of the process to become the new Labour leader. Whoever succeeds Starmer will become Britain's 7th Prime Minister since the 2016 Brexit vote. Nigel Farage, who leads the right-leaning Reform UK party, is demanding a general election. Farage writing in a social media post, quote, "If Labour thinks it can shove another professional politician into number 10, it has another thing coming." Number 10 being a reference to the Prime Minister's office and residence, official residence. Under British law, the governing Labour Party does not have to hold a general election until 2029, 5 years after the last one. Governments can choose to hold one sooner if they wish, though Labour has given no indication it intends to do that. In recent British political history, it's not uncommon for prime ministers to come to power in between general election cycles, though sometimes they do choose to hold elections shortly after they assume the premiership. Reform UK currently leads national opinion polls, even though it currently only has 8 MPs in Parliament, so it's in Farage's interest to call for an election. A right-leaning political newcomer is set to replace Colombia's current left-leaning government, a candidate who is backed by President Trump narrowly winning last night's presidential election. NTD's international correspondent Arian Pasdar has the story from South America.
Colombia's right-leaning candidate, Abelardo de la Espriella, narrowly wins Colombia's presidential election to replace the current left-leaning government. Now, de la Espriella promises to combat violent drug trafficking groups, among other things. And the State Department says the U.S. is already looking forward to working with him.
Colombia, aquí está tu presidente.
De la Espriella is seen celebrating his close win behind bulletproof glass on Sunday, as he has received multiple threats throughout his campaign. The official vote count shows that de la Espriella defeated left-leaning Ivan Cepeda in a tight race, with 48% of the votes for Cepeda and 49% for de la Espriella. President Trump on Sunday commenting on de la Espriella's win, saying, quote, "He won big." The president previously endorsed him, saying if Abelardo wins, Colombia will have the total support and strength of the United States behind him. He added that de la Espriella promises to stop illegal immigration to the U.S., crack down on crime and drug trafficking, and restore law and order. After the results came in, Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced that he already spoke to Colombian President-elect Abelardo de la Espriella to congratulate him on his electoral victory, adding that Colombia's best days are ahead.
Colombians are looking for at least some tough crackdown.
Evan Ellis is the Latin America research professor with the U.S. Army War Call. He was also part of President Trump's Latin America staff during his first term. Ellis previously explained how the U.S. could once again increase relations with Colombia, which have worsened during the current left-leaning government.
The ways that we've cooperated have long included different intelligence cooperation programs, training programs. The U.S. has a legal, what's called a status of forces agreement, so that we can have physical presence on the ground in Colombia. But generally, that's for training and not for boots on the ground, combat operations.
He added that the U.S. might also increase the sale of military equipment to Colombia once again. Now, Colombia's left is challenging the tight results, claiming irregularities. But as we see, international leaders, including from the US, are acknowledging the current results. De la Espriella is set to take office in 2 weeks. Arian Pastar, NTD News.
A dangerous heat wave is gripping parts of Europe, with temperatures expected to climb above 105 degrees Fahrenheit in some areas. In France, 3 people have died from heat-related health issues, as authorities issued red heat warnings across nearly 50 regions. Bordeaux was forecast to reach 107 degrees Fahrenheit, while thousands of schools were forced to close or adjust schedules to protect students. The French health minister warned the country is facing several days of extreme heat with no clear timeline for relief. Spain is also under heat alerts, with some northern areas seeing temperatures more than 10 degrees above normal for this time of year. President Trump announcing plans for more international travel this year, including a trip to Turkey and a second visit to China. The president making the comments on Friday while unveiling a Boeing 747 gifted by Qatar. The plane will join the Air Force One fleet. President Trump also saying Chinese Communist Party leader Xi Jinping is expected to visit the United States in September. That's ahead of another trip Trump will make to China later this year. Dates for the trips have not yet been announced. Taiwan's military has launched a 5-day combat readiness exercise. It says the drills are aimed at strengthening its ability to respond quickly to potential threats by China. The exercises began today with armored vehicles conducting readiness patrols along a highway. The military says the patrols are designed to familiarize troops with tactical positions and routes that could be used during a contingency. Taiwan's defense ministry says the exercise focuses on training units getting familiar with combat procedures and understanding the battlefield environment. It also aims to improve protection of critical infrastructure. That includes government facilities, airports, and transportation routes. Taiwan regularly conducts readiness drills as it seeks to boost its defenses amid ongoing military pressure from China. Taiwan's vice president sat down for an interview with Epoch Times' Yannick Kellek. She says the island must stay strong in the face of growing pressure from communist China. Xiaobi Kim, known for her cat warrior diplomacy, says Taiwan can be warm and cooperative, but must keep its claws sharp to defend herself. Here's a preview of what she had to say.
The concept of cat warrior was an idea I assigned to myself in response to dealing with the wolf warriors of the PRC. But essentially, I think it embodies a spirit of Taiwanese people. That is the agility, that we are small, but we need to be mighty. We need to be strong. And cats have incredible agility. Cats also have the ability to balance in very difficult circumstances, walking on tight ropes. And they've got 9 lives. But I think also a very important characteristic is that cats cannot be coerced. They have a mind of their own. We will not let Communist Party of China define who we are. And secondly, I think these are tactics to intimidate, to threaten, and to prevent us from doing the work that we're trying to do.
Xiao says Taiwan's challenge is not only defending its territory, but preserving the values, she says, define the island. The Taiwanese vice president says everything they're doing today in strengthening Taiwan is to prevent an invasion, adding that peace has to be sustained through strength. Xiao says Taiwan is working to strengthen its defenses while maintaining partnerships with countries that share its commitment to democracy and stability. The vice president also says Taiwan's role in the global technology supply chain is far more important than the island itself. The full interview with American thought leaders will premiere on Epoch TV on Tuesday, June 23rd at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't miss it. And Lionel Messi is in the spotlight again. A big performance has people talking about his place in soccer history. More news after this break. Stay tuned.
大提琴不仅仅是一件乐器，它是有生命、有感情的，需要我们精心的照顾。往往我们一个小小的动作，可能都会对人情绪产生微妙的影响。天音的品牌是福星，我们对于传统的理念很荣幸被神韵艺术团选为指定供应商。时间是酿造音色的不可替代的陪伴。我跟大提琴已经有60多年的友情了，每一把琴都有它自己的个性，熟悉它，才能真正发挥它的潜力。所以，我希望给你的每一把琴，都是首先我所信任的。
Tired of struggling with that heavy leaf blower? Introducing the Bullseye Power Blower. It delivers a massive blowing force, and yet it's so compact and lightweight. Just lock and load the rechargeable battery for long-lasting runtime. The secret is the compact turbocharged motor with jet burst technology that blasts out 21,000 RPMs of airflow. Watch this. The sheer force propels this woman across the pool. Look, use Bullseye to blow up a huge jump house. Now that's power. Even blows snow right off your vehicle in no time. Turbo clean your porch in a flash or tidy up your dirty garage floor in seconds. Get it today for just $99.99. But wait, act now and get a $20 discount. So it's only $79.99. Plus, you'll get the adjustable extension tube. Yours free. And it all comes with free shipping. Order now.
Call 1-800-209-2313 or go to bullseyeblower.com. That's 1-800-209-2313 or order online at bullseyeblower.com. Order now.
President Trump is at the White House right now, where he is signing a series of executive orders focused on quantum technology. The move is aimed at boosting U.S. competitiveness and strengthening national security in a rapidly evolving field. Let's go there live.
Led to doubling the federal government investment in quantum research and development. I think you all know about that. That helped unleash billions of dollars of private investment in America's quantum industrial base, promoting significant scientific and technological progress like we've never seen before, actually. We want to keep that positive momentum going in America with the orders that I'm signing today, and these will really have place it a big step forward. We're already the leader by a lot, and we're going to be now the leader by a lot more. With the first executive order launches a national effort to produce a quantum computer capable of performing important scientific calculations and to develop quantum-enabled sensors and networks in the next 5 years. And we're going to be investing in American quantum leadership like never before to stay ahead of the pack. We're way ahead right now, and we'll keep it that way. The second order I'm signing directs federal agency to transition to what is called quantum cryptography. Do anybody know what that is? You're going to hear very soon, so you're going to find it interesting. Cryptography for their computer systems by 2031 and to lead the way for wider adoption of these extremely strong security standards. America is celebrating 250 years of ingenuity, innovation, and invention this year, and today's commitments to quantum leadership will help secure that legacy for decades to come. I just want to say before we introduce a couple of the people, we're doing very well with respect to the Hormuz Strait. We took in more oil yesterday than has ever gone through the strait. You probably see that. We have an oil gusher. The strait is totally open. You know that. And we're negotiating. We'll see how that all goes. But we have two things. We have an open strait, and we have a country that will never have a nuclear weapon. Will never, ever have a nuclear weapon. So now I'd like to invite Michael Kratsios, Director of the Office of Science and Technology Policy, to say a few words, followed by National Cyber Director Sean Cairncross and Secretary Wright, who's doing a fantastic job over in Venezuela and every place else he touches. Venezuela, by the way, has been amazing. We are really having a great relationship with that country, taking out tremendous amounts of oil. Far, far more than that particular war cost, many, many times. Sending it to Houston, sending it to Louisiana, sending it to lots of places. And Venezuela is also doing well. Venezuela is doing better than it's done in maybe ever. So it's been an amazing situation. Where did you ever hear of getting money back from the war by 42 times over, right, Pete? Nobody does that. And I think Iran, I can say on a sort of a different scale, is in its own way working out very well. Maybe, it's hard to say just as well, but maybe almost just as well. And we're doing very well in terms of negotiating a fair and reasonable deal. One of the things that we are doing also, and it came up last night, is money that's being unfrozen is going to be used to buy food, and the food's going to be bought exclusively through the United States from our farmers. And corn, soybeans, all of the things they need are going to be bought from our farmers. So our farmers are very happy. I've had a lot of calls. They were very happy about that. So now I'd like to ask Michael to say a few words, and we'll follow up by the other two gentlemen, or three gentlemen, and then if anybody has anything to say, and we'll take some questions at the end. So Michael, go ahead.
So, Mr. President, as you mentioned in your remarks, you were the first president in history to prioritize quantum as a scientific priority for the United States government in your first administration. And since then, there's been a big leap in the investment the private sector has made in this particular domain. And we're now at the moment where a lot of that research is starting to pay off into commercial applications. And what this executive order will do is turbocharge that. First and foremost, it's going to task the Department of Energy to create a scientifically relevant quantum computer, which is going to help pave the way for even larger computers for the private sector. Secondly, we're going to be focusing on sensors and networking. So agencies like the Department of War, along with the Department of Energy, are going to be doing a wide variety of sensing and networking work. So this is a big step forward, and as one of our two top science technology priorities, we're excited to kick things off today.
Good. Thank you very much. Good job, Michael. Sean, please.
Yeah, thank you, sir. You continue to be the most forward-leaning president in innovation in American history.
Is that all?
That's sir. But no, and while you recognize the tremendous potential quantum has to advance medical research and cryptography and improve the lives of American people, you also recognize the security implications. As quantum rolls forward, it will challenge public key cryptography, which is what secures everything. It secures our financial transactions, our civilian critical infrastructure, and it secures the digital systems that Americans rely on for their daily life. And these two executive orders, which pair innovation and security, will address those issues. As we move forward, innovation and security have to be balanced. You recognize that. The actions that you take today will make sure that American systems are trusted and secure and safe moving forward. And I just want to thank our tremendous American companies with whom we've been working so closely. I think it's fair to say we have an unprecedented relationship in this. I want to thank our colleagues in the interagency who have been tremendous. It's such a mission-focused group of people. And obviously none of this happens, sir, without your leadership. So You're securing our systems for generations to come. Thank you.
And you've done a great job. All of you have, actually. Chris Wright, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So 141 years ago, Albert Einstein, 121 years ago, Albert Einstein published a paper on
Nobody cares.
Good point, good point.
I never go back. I just, and usually they won't catch you, but go ahead.
Published a paper on the photoelectric effect, recognizing the quantum behavior of light, that it came in quanta. 40 years after that, President Trump's uncle, John Trump, was a pioneer in applying light radiation and the reflections of it to develop radar at the MIT Radiation Lab, critical in D-Day, critical in the end in winning World War II. That's the parallel of quantum innovation. 40 years after that, John Martinez down there pioneered taking quantum effects and building them into a device to capture that behavior. He was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics just last year for that discovery, that breakthrough. But 40 years, quantum phenomena are tough to harvest and tough to work with. But here we are, thanks to President Trump's leadership in the first term with Director Kratsios, to launch a major national effort on quantum. This is taking it to the next level. The future of computing is going to be a three-legged stool. It's high-performance computing, basically Moore's law in semiconductor manufacturing. It's artificial intelligence that everyone's seeing and hearing about that's supercharging it. The third leg of that computing stool is going to be scientifically relevant quantum computing. This is tricky. We're not there yet. We're close. But with this executive order and this coordinated effort, we will have scientifically relevant, meaning error-corrected, quantum computing during this administration. The impacts of it will be tremendous.
Just, if I might, so with respect to the Strait, Hormuz Strait, a lot of oil pouring out, right?
A lot of oil pouring out. Despite Iran's efforts or pushback, we are flowing oil through the Strait of Hormuz and natural gas at pre-crisis levels. We could get to above that. We will get to above that, but things today are going very well, thanks to the U.S. military and Pete Hegseth down the line here.
And 2 days ago, we set a record, most ever taken out of the Straits. Pent up, but it's a record. Did you know of my uncle at all?
No.
You didn't?
No.
Sorry. Oh. You missed a good bit.
I was
Would you like to?
Berkeley and MIT.
Well, but MIT's Howard, you want to say something? Yeah.
So you're accelerating quantum with this EO, continuing to push America forward. Now, I have the honor that John Martinez was a member of the Commerce Department at NIST, and he's a Nobel Prize winning alum, which is, if you don't think the people in the Commerce Department and in NIST are the best, I mean, here's an example. Nobel Prize winner who was part of our team. You all know that the government invested $2 billion just a couple of weeks ago in quantum to drive it forward. And besides investing in the companies, we've also invested in fabs to build quantum for others so we can manufacture these quantum in America. Now you have Ruth Porat from Alphabet. They are doing amazing investing in building quantum. And you have Arvind right next from IBM. We invested in his fab. He's got a leading fab, so he's going to be building those chips, right? So that's that idea. And then lastly, post-quantum cryptography, right? Once you have quantum chips, we've got to protect everyone in this government, post-quantum cryptography. So NIST and the Department of Commerce is going to lead the charge to make sure all of us are protected and defended so we know how to deal with quantum when it comes. We're going to lead in quantum, and we're going to make sure we stay safe. And these are both the things you're signing today. And that's why you have such an amazing team behind you, because you are leading the charge in quantum for America.
And Ruth, would you like to say something?
Well, thank you. First, thank you so much for convening us for this important meeting and these two executive orders. We completely agree. Quantum is a breakthrough critical technology. The U.S. is in the lead. We will stay in the lead. At Google, we're really proud of our innovations, and thank you, Secretary Letnick. We've been investing for more than a decade in quantum. And back in 2019, we were the first company actually to achieve quantum supremacy. Didn't stop there. About a year and a half ago, we unveiled a new chip, the Willow chip, which is a great example of American innovation manufactured here in the United States. And what the Willow chip does, it enabled us to do a computation in less than 5 minutes that previously on the best supercomputer would have taken 10 septillion years, which is 1 with 25 zeros, so it's a lot.
Pretty good.
It's a lot. And what's exciting about this is what it means for our children and grandchildren. It's about medical breakthroughs, nuclear fusion, material science. So we're really excited about the opportunity. And then also around post-quantum cryptography and the work that we're doing there. Absolutely critical that we also keep America safe, everyone safe. So we have been deploying that across our products and services. And it's a critical opportunity. I think with these two EOs, it lays the foundation for, one, protecting America, as well as continuing to benefit on the upside. It's great to be here. Thank you.
Say hello to everybody.
I absolutely will.
Arvind, please. IBM.
So first, I'd like to thank the President for both of these EOs. The role of the government is often underestimated. The role of the government in pushing innovation and technology forward is what both of these will achieve. Asking for the investment in quantum computing, asking that the departments all work together, will actually accelerate what industry does, because that gives us the confidence to invest even more, and that is what we commit to do, to get these systems out and to get what both the secretaries asked for, to get the systems out during your current term. So we will go and invest in doing that. And I'd also like to thank Commerce for the investment they made in accelerating the ability to build fabs so that we can actually make these in America.
Good. Thank you very much. Would you like to say something, Russell, about how well we're doing on the budget and things?
Well, we're making tons of progress. I think last year you had the most fiscally consequential year in history, a story that's largely been unwritten. But today, this is about...
They don't want to write it. They don't write it. It's true. Go ahead.
More savings.
You might as well say it because they won't.
More savings than ever before in history. Today is about the investments that we're going to prioritize. So we'll save in places, but we're going to do what's necessary to invest in the future and industries of the future. That's what today is about. Quantum is one of those areas in the first term and now in the second term.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Any questions, please?
President Treasury lifted the sanctions on Iranian oil today, sir? Treasury lifted sanctions on Iranian oil today.
Well, I'm going to have to find out exactly the status, but if the sanctions go out, money's going to be put into this country. All that money's coming back in the form of purchases of food, which they desperately need. They have 91 million people. They can't feed them. So the money that we lift is going to go to our farmers, largely to our farmers.
Can you ensure that the Iranians won't use profits from oil sales to rebuild their military?
Well, they're not supposed to be doing that, so we'll see. But they're supposed to use money to buy food for their people, because right now their people are very hungry, and they're buying it exclusively from us. Corn, soybeans, should be a lot of money. I hope it's a lot of money.
If the war with Iran could cause a worldwide depression, as you noted, Mr. President, are you willing to risk economic catastrophe and strike Iran again?
Well, not the way I'm doing it. It's not going to cause depression.
Yes, but if they don't abide by the
Well,
memorandum
nuclear
of understanding.
weapon supersedes depression. Depression's real bad. Nuclear weapon will cause depression much more quickly. The way we're doing it, we have the opposite of a depression. We're doing really well. The numbers are incredible. The oil is at a level that nobody's ever seen before. Oil prices are way down. I think they're very comparable to what they were. Chris, I don't know, pretty comparable to what they were before we started.
They've returned most of the way back down.
And, so if Iran does not abide by the MOU, are you still willing
What I
for
didn't
strikes?
say
And
it
does
would
give them
cause
leverage?
a depression. I said it could cause a depression, right? And I said that I don't want to be Herbert Hoover. That's a president I don't want to be, because he was in charge during the Great Depression. And certainly a lot of bad things could happen. That would be one of the things. I don't think it would, but if it did. But no, if Iran doesn't live up to their agreement, or if they're not behaving, I will do what I have to do.
Does that give them leverage over you, Mr. President?
Say it?
Does that give them leverage, the Iranians leverage over you?
Oh, you're so leverage. Their Navy is gone. Their Air Force is gone. Their leaders are all dead. Their whole country's a mess. Their economy is shot. The Times, the fake New York Times said, oh, it's about the same as it was 4 months ago. No, 4 months ago they had a Navy, 159 ships to be exact. It's gone. The whole Navy's gone. Their 250 airplanes, all gone. Their anti-aircraft is gone. Their radar is gone. These guys love radar. Their radar is gone. Everything's gone. Their leaders are gone. Their whole country is gone. And the Times said, oh, they're about the same as they were 4 months ago. The reason the news is doing so badly, or let's put it another way, the reason that I won in a landslide, even though I got 92% negative press, all fake press, is because nobody believes the press anymore. And they have to start believing. When the Times and a couple of others, they're grasping for straws. When they say that Iran is about the same as it was 4 months. 4 months ago, they had a powerful Navy, they had a powerful Air Force. Most of their missiles are gone. Most of their launching pads are gone. Most of their manufacturing capacity for drones and missiles is gone. About 87% gone. And then I hear, oh, they're in such great shape. No, they're gone. And their first level of leaders, gone. Their second level of leaders, gone. Their third level of leaders, you have to hear the conversations. Who wants to be president? Well, I don't want it. Nobody wants to be president. And then we have to read that they're doing well. They're doing so badly. In the meantime, we're setting records. We have the strongest economy we've ever had. We have $18 to $19 trillion being poured into our country. We're building factories all over the place. We have more people working today than at any time in the history of our country at higher salaries. So when you ask a question like that, it's so stupid.
Mr. President,
here's another beauty. What's this one?
Well,
here's a real beauty.
earlier today, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said his forces are not leaving Lebanon. That is a sticking point.
Who did he tell that to you?
He said it publicly in Israel.
Well, we're going to take a look at it.
Well, what would you do to make sure that he doesn't?
Well, I'm not going to
sabotage
tell
the
you
deal?
what I'm going to do, but it gets solved. I'm a problem solver. I get problem solved real fast, including with Bibi. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. What's the latest you've heard from the Vice President? Are you happy with his negotiations?
Yeah.
And can you share a little bit about what Secretary Rubio will be doing in the Middle East this week?
I think that they're doing a fantastic job. Our secretary is fantastic. I think he's maybe going to go down as the best ever. And I thought JD Vance this morning was fantastic. I watched his news conference, and from Switzerland, he's a very smart guy. He did a great job. When I look at the Democrats, I call them the Democrats. They're dumb. The Democrats. When I watched that, where one of them thought it was World War XI. She said World War XI. She read World War II. You know about that, right? This is one of their potential leaders, Ilhan Omar, who married her brother to get into the country, by the way, illegally. But when I watch AOC have no idea on a simple question, what happened when she was over in Switzerland, which she probably never went there before, but she was. And then I watch somebody like JD or Marco. I said, what a difference. What a difference. What a difference a brain makes.
Mr. President, the candidate is endorse you. Sir, you've been quite critical of Prime Minister Starmer, and he's now resigned. Your thoughts, and who would you like to see as the next Prime Minister?
Yeah, I was critical only from the set because I think he's a lovely man, but I said, you're really messing up energy. You have windmills all over the place. In the meantime, you have the North Sea oil, and they won't let anybody drill. It's one of the great fields in the world, and they haven't even found most. You know that the UK buys much of its energy. You know where? Norway. You know where they get their oil? The North Sea. The UK has a much better portion of the North Sea. They don't want to do it for environmental purposes, okay? And I told him, he's a very nice man. I mean, sort of a friend of mine. I mean, he was not good to us with NATO, Pete, right? He said, we can't use the island to land. That was the first. For a couple of weeks, he said, well, but ultimately I gave it to you now. That was a bad move. That hurt him badly. But I mean, I wish him well, but he's got two problems, energy and immigration and crime. But energy and immigration.
Mr. President,
and he's really hurt himself very, very badly. Please go.
Mr. President, can you tell us about your meeting with the defense contractors on Wednesday and what you plan to tell them?
The meeting coming up, because I've met with them before. We're building plants all over the country. They are not allowed to take any more stock buybacks. Do you do stock buybacks by any chance? Not too much, right? No, because he wants to invest in product. It's just an artificial way of raising a price if you're running a bad company. So they spent $51 billion on stock buybacks instead of spending them on plants. Now they're spending, they can't do that anymore. Now they're spending a lot of money. We're building many plants throughout the country. They're dealing with General Motors, they're dealing with Ford, but I know General Motors is all excited about building weapons now. They have some plants which are going to switch over, and we're going to build weapons, including the Patriot, including the Tomahawk, and lots of other things. And we're really in a big, strong economic push to do the weapons. And some of the car companies, if they have any excess capacity, they're making a deal to build missiles, and the Patriot in particular. We have quite a few of them, but we want to make sure we have always a lot of them.
Mr. President of Colombia, the candidate that you endorse.
Thank you, Mr. President. Congratulations on the quantum physics EO to all of
Thank you.
Vice President Vance said that there are mechanisms in place to make sure that there's not escalations with the Strait of Hormuz and with Israel and Lebanon. Can you talk about what those mechanisms are, and are you in direct talks with the Supreme Leader?
Yeah, look, here's the thing. As long as they respect us, I don't want to use the word fear, because that's an inappropriate word, but as long as they respect us, we're not going to have any trouble. We have total control of the Strait.
So the mechanism is...
You know, we have a Navy that had a blockade. I think the blockade was more impactful than dropping bombs, if you want to know the truth. It was, like I said, they call it the steel wall. Nobody got through. Not one ship got through, able to go to Iran. They got through if we wanted them to go through. And we could set that up again in about 15 minutes. I would say, Pete, one phone call. How long would it take? Maybe half hour?
They're ready to go right now if you need to.
It'll be before we finish the meeting. No, we have, as long as they respect us, we're going to be fine. They don't respect us, things wouldn't be good, but they have a lot of respect. Don't forget, we had presidents that should have done this for 47 years. Nobody did it. Obama gave them a road to a nuclear weapon. I gave them a wall against a nuclear. They can never, under this agreement, they'll never even think about building a nuclear weapon.
Mr. President, on Colombia, the candidate...
Oh, El Tigre.
Belardo de Estrella. We know that you had a phone...
I endorsed him. He was in 10th place. I endorsed him, and he won the election.
Yeah, and we know that you had
no different than this country.
You had a phone conversation with Belardo.
I did. I had a great call.
What can you tell us about that phone conversation, and what do you see, what do you anticipate?
You're from Colombia?
Yes, sir. I'm from Colombia.
So he called.
In a great city.
He called me last night, and he thanked me for the endorsement. He won. He won the election. He wasn't anticipated to win, but he won, and he won handily. It's just an honor. He was just a good man. I'd watch him a little bit speak, and he always spoke. You know, when people like me, I like them. It's very simple. It's a very simple formula, and I like them. He said really nice things about me and the job we've done in the United States, and very, very powerful. And he won an election in Colombia that, I don't know, some people were surprised because he was a little bit further down the pack, but he won easily last night. He called me at 8:30 in the evening just to thank me very much. And I said, you ran a great campaign. He's El Tigre, right?
Yeah. And what do you anticipate for the relation with Colombia?
Good, much better. It'll be better. He's going to be a great president.
Mr. President.
Are the contractors who did the initial work with the reflecting pool, are they to blame for the current condition, or is it the vandals?
We had vandalism. No, vandals. You know, we have I think 290, 300-foot slit right through it, probably a box cutter or a knife of some kind. Or we had people lifting up the basic, some of the, it's not a lot of damage, but we'll probably have to let the water out and refix it. They went in there with a knife. I was just told by the people over at Parks, they have 5 people are arrested and 5 people are under investigation right now. And it's a sad thing. In addition to that, we put brand new, beautiful grass all around. They put these massive letters on the grass. You probably know about that, right? And they said 8647. They probably got that from the dirty cop, Comey. You know he's a dirty cop, don't you? Dirty cop. He's a crooked guy. They destroyed the grass. So that's a big thing. but we're going to get it back very soon.
National Guard and police have been all over the mall. How would these vandals have gotten so close to do something like that?
Do you have any proof of
I
the
mean, we didn't have a lot of them then. Who would think that somebody would go into a pool and take a knife and start cutting it?
But do you have proof of that? That they
Yeah,
used
yeah,
the
we
knife?
have
Do you have
proof.
photos or videos?
Well, let's put it this way. When you have a 350, I think it's 350, not 250, a 350-foot slit from one end to the other, you think that's proof? You think that's
The
proof?
reporters have been down there today looking for that slit that you mentioned, and
Well,
there's no
just-
evidence of
all
it.
you'd have to do is see the Parks Department. They'll show it to you. Or see the secretary. But I saw it. They cut it. They cut it very violently. The same thing with the floor. They cut it. And then they lifted it. They pulled it. And that's what it is. And, you know, we've done over 50 monuments. Number one, we start with, this is now a safe city. It's as safe a city as you're going to get in the country. And when I came here, it was a very dangerous city. And number two, what we did is the beautification with the parks and the grass and everything, removal of all the tents. And this is like a different place. One of the things we did is over 50 fountains and statues, most of which were in horrible shape. All of them were bad, but some were just absolutely horrible. Graffiti, you couldn't even see the stone. They've all been fixed. We also fixed the reflecting pool. In fact, if you go over there right now, it looks very good. It's up. They put, somebody said fertilizer in the water. If you put fertilizer in the water, you get algae. But somebody said they might have put fertilizer. They did something to create the algae, but that doesn't matter because that's been purified. It's dead. Laying at the bottom, they're taking it out. They vacuum it out. They vacuum it very carefully out. And it'll be back to health pretty soon. We're going to have to let the water out to fix the one little, there's two little areas, very little areas where they were cut. And we'll fix that, but it's not leaking or anything. It's got a base underneath.
Part of what's curious about this situation is we stood here with you in April when you first revealed the plans.
I said what?
In April, you showed us pictures
Yeah.
of what you were going to do at the
Yeah.
pool, and you said you had a guy who was going to do it in a week for about $1 million.
Well,
It's been
you
2 months
just
for
say it.
$16.5 million.
Yeah, okay, ready? Barack Hussein Obama, have you ever heard of him?
Yeah.
He spent 2 years and over $100 million on trying to fix it. You know what happened to it? Never even opened.
Right.
He took the water from the river. You know about that, right? It turned out to be putrid, and it destroyed the whole thing. Spent over $100 million. Him and Biden together spent $147 million. You know what happened? Never opened. You don't mention that, right?
But to Philip's
We spent about 10. Much of the money we spent are park workers. They're there whether they do this or not, as you know. They work in the park, and they're very good workers. They did a great job. So they were going to spend $300 to $400 million. You know that, and it was going to take 4 years.
And you got it for $1 million?
I spent about 6-7 weeks, and I spent probably in terms of outside, probably $10 million, around 10 million. They say 16, but a lot of that's workers that work for the same thing. So they were going to spend 400 million. I spent 10. They were going to spend 4 years. I spent 2 months, maybe less. And I have a better product. Now, I can't help it if somebody goes in with a knife and starts hacking it up. And we also have pictures of it. You know, we have
Can you
pictures.
release the photos? We've been
Yeah, at the
asking
right
for
time
that.
you'll see it. You'll see it in court. You'll see it in court. But all you have to do is call the Parks Department. Call the Department of Interior, and I don't know if their lawyers will allow you to speak to them because you know you write fake news. But call the Interior Department, and I understand they've arrested 5 people, and they have another 5 people that are under investigation. Here's the bottom line: we made so much progress in this city. People don't even recognize it. By the way, Memphis, Tennessee, crime is down 78% in a matter of months. It was a hellhole. New Orleans, crime is down 79%. And they had Mardi Gras. It was the safest Mardi Gras they've had in 50 years. The governor called me. Governor Landry called me. Safest Mardi Gras they've had in, and by the way, Chicago, which is a shooting field right now, if the governor would call me, Governor Pritzker would call me, I would solve the Chicago problem. In 3-4 months, you'd have virtually a crime-free city. We'll remove all of the bad ones. You have criminals. You have career criminals that came in through the border because of Sleepy Joe Biden. You ever hear of Sleepy Joe Biden? Do you ever hear of him? He let people come into this country, and we can never forget that that happened. Guys like you should never forget that that happened. They were murderers, drug dealers, mental patients. They took them out of prisons. They took them out of mental institutions. You should never forget that that happened.
Mr. President, Mr. President,
Let's leave on a nicer note.
You're meeting with NATO Mark Rutte on Wednesday.
Good.
You've had Secretary Hegseth review U.S. presence
I
in
did.
NATO countries.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that conversation. Are you planning
Well,
on
look,
drawing
look,
down
NATO.
U.S. troops?
It's NATO, basically, the question. So we have been a great member of NATO, in many ways, certainly the predominant member. We paid trillions of dollars over the years, not billions, trillions over the years to protect Europe. When we wanted to know, we didn't need any help at all. I was more curious than anything else. So I said to Pete, let's see if they'd actually come. So we asked them to come, and they weren't there for us. So we spent, it's stupid that they weren't. By the way, Starmer wasn't there. And you know what? The people of the UK did not like it that he wasn't there. Starmer said no. Starmer said worse than no. He said, we'll be there as soon as you win. I said, we don't need you as soon as we win. Before I went in, we called him. He said, oh, wow, we'll be there. This was not Winston Churchill we're dealing with, that I can tell you. But Starmer said, we'll be there, right, Pete? As soon as we win. As soon as we win, they're going to come and help us. Okay. But you know what? Italy was very bad. Italy was very bad, and other countries, Germany was very bad. So we spent all of this money, probably 600, I think we spend 600 billion a year, right? I would say that. I think the real number, think of that. The numbers that we spend are so crazy on NATO, and they weren't there for us. So I say to Pete, and I say to everybody else, if we're spending all of this money, just hundreds of millions of dollars to protect them from Russia, mostly. Okay, so we're spending hundreds of millions of dollars a year. You know, the case could be made that we spent all of the money over the years before me. I cut it back. But listen, we spend all of this money, and then when we want to maybe have help on small stuff, this is small time. This is not the big one. This is small potatoes. They say no, would rather not help. Stupid thing to say, because we can say that to them if we want, and we might.
Mr. President, regarding the other...
It's the one-year anniversary of Operation Midnight Hammer. If you could go back in time, is there anything you would do different?
No.
Nothing at
It was
all?
the most successful attack that anyone's ever seen with a bomber that totally wiped out their nuclear potential. If we didn't do that, you'd have no Israel right now. Israel would not exist, and most of the Middle East would not exist. They were 2 weeks away from having a nuclear weapon. If we wouldn't have done that, Pete, they would have had a nuclear weapon. You want to say something about that?
Yes, sir. I wasn't aware it was 1 year, but you don't have the situation we have now, a position of strength where Iran's going to give up their nuclear program without Midnight Hammer, which no other country on planet Earth could remotely conceivably pull off that from start to finish, 37 hours back and forth. Iran never saw it, and every munition, precision munition that only we make, hit exactly where we wanted it to, because
they knew we were coming, and they could do nothing.
And they could do nothing about it with their air defenses, which are even further now degraded. And that's what everyone misses in the press, and the president's right to call it fake news, because the overwhelming military victory that has been had over Iran is what has set the conditions for them to be at the table with our negotiators. And we will ensure, whether it's through a deal or through the War Department, that they never get a nuclear weapon because of this president right here.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Press.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
And you were just watching President Trump in the Oval Office at the White House signing executive orders. And there were two of them aimed at expanding U.S. leadership in quantum technology, and President Trump calling it a critical area for economic growth as well. So National Quantum Computing Initiative launches a major effort to develop a scientifically useful quantum computer within 5 years, and as well expands work on quantum sensors and quantum networking technologies. All right. Let's take a break now. New details in the alleged plot to attack the UFC Freedom 250 event in Washington. The FBI has publicly identified an additional suspect as court filings shed more light on the investigation. Don't go away. We have more news after this. Stay tuned.
This summer, your living room gets an upgrade. Come check out the summer edit at Mathis Home, where we're showing the hottest styles and the best deals. Our selection of sectionals has never been better, and we've got something designed to fit your lifestyle and your space. You'll have room for everyone. You can even customize with modular designs to get the perfect layout just for you. They're all in stock with fast, free delivery. We can't wait to show you what's in store. Give your living room a refresh and shop the summer edit at your furniture superstore, Mathis Home.
Where did the time go? I don't know how I got here. Ooh.
You've done the hard part. You quit smoking. Now do the easy part and get scanned for lung cancer. If you smoked, you may still be at risk, but early detection could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org.
The superintendent of Los Angeles Public Schools has stepped down. His resignation comes 4 months after he was put on paid leave amid a federal investigation. Carvalho became superintendent of Los Angeles Unified School District in 2022. In his resignation letter, Carvalho said that his main priority had always been placing students first. He wrote, quote, "Because I believe our schools must remain focused on student and learning without distraction, I am resigning as superintendent of LAUSD effective today, June 21st, 2026. In February, federal agents executed a search warrant at Carvalho's home and the school district's headquarters. Authorities have not detailed the focus of the investigation. He has not been accused of a crime and denies any wrongdoing. SpaceX is signing a major deal with open-source AI startup Reflection. It would give Reflection AI access to SpaceX's massive data center infrastructure. Under the deal, Reflection will be able to tap the computing power capacity of Elon Musk's Colossus 2 data center. The AI startup will also gain access to NVIDIA's top AI chips, the GB300s, to train and run advanced models. Reflection AI has agreed to pay SpaceX $150 million per month beginning July this year through 2029. This would amount to $6.3 billion if the deal runs through its end of the term. SpaceX has also sold computing power capacity of its data center to other AI companies. In May, Anthropic agreed to pay SpaceX $15 billion a year to tap its data center infrastructure through 2029. Earlier this month, Google AI also agreed to pay SpaceX $920 million a month to use its computing capacity through 2029. Google DeepMind has announced it's investing in an independent movie studio. It's part of a new artificial intelligence research partnership between the tech giant and movie studio A24. The collaboration aims to allow A24 filmmakers hands-on experimentation with artificial intelligence and to provide feedback to Google about what they need from the technology. Google is also investing in the movie studio. Wall Street Journal reports the search giant is putting around $75 million into A24. Google says the research and development partnership will span multiple projects over time. This deal marks the first time Google has invested in a studio. A24 released recent hits such as Backrooms and Marty Supreme. A federal judge has blocked the Trump administration's subpoenas issued to Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and other state officials. The ruling comes amid an investigation into whether they obstructed immigration enforcement efforts. The Minnesota-based district judge ruled that the administration was attempting to compel state officials to provide information in retaliation for not assisting federal immigration authorities. The Justice Department issued the subpoenas to the offices of Walz, Attorney General Keith Ellison, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, St. Paul Mayor Kali Hur, and officials in Ramsey and Hennepin counties. The DOJ's efforts followed numerous violent confrontations between local residents and federal law enforcement, including 2 fatal shootings. A federal judge has blocked the use of a revamped version of an immigration database for checking the accuracy of state voter rolls. The Trump administration has intended for it to be used in the midterm elections in November. Last year, the Department of Homeland Security updated a system it uses to verify individual citizenship and immigration status to make it easier for state and local officials to use it to make sure voters are U.S. citizens. U.S. District Judge Sparkle Suknanan in Washington, D.C., decided the overhaul made it less accurate in cases where immigrants' statuses have not been updated. She sided with voters' rights groups that it risked disenfranchising eligible voters. The judge ruled that the revamp also violated privacy laws, restricting the federal government's disclosure of Social Security numbers and other information. The Trump administration is touting the results of its immigration enforcement agenda. NTD's White House correspondent, Iris Tao, asked Border Czar Tom Homan about the administration's efforts going forward.
Mr. Holman, so the DHS is now saying that deportation flights are at a record high. Since the beginning of the administration, the new numbers is now 900,000 illegal aliens deported. Now with the replenished resources at the DHS, how do you expect the numbers to trend for the rest of this year going forward?
A lot higher. With 10,000 agents on, but people need to understand, we got almost 700,000 illegal aliens with criminal records walking the streets of this country, mainly because the sanctuary cities released them. But we got a lot of work to do, so with additional resources, additional money from the Big Beautiful Bill and the reconciliation package, you're going to see a lot more arrest activity go on throughout the country.
The updated figures come after the Department of Homeland Security faced a weeks-long shutdown. Democratic lawmakers at the time said they wouldn't fund DHS in the wake of the two shootings involving federal agents earlier this year in Minneapolis. Democrats had demanded that ICE officers be required to wear body cameras and remove their masks. In late April, Trump signed a bill to fund several agencies within DHS to end the 10-week-long shutdown. The legislation provided funding for several DHS agencies, such as the Coast Guard and the Secret Service, but did not provide funds for ICE and Customs and Border Protection. A fugitive accused of orchestrating a $3.7 billion Medicare fraud scheme has been captured. Authorities apprehended the suspect in Turkey after evading law enforcement since May 2025. FBI Director Kash Patel touted his capture on X, saying charges stem from, quote, one of the biggest Medicare scams in history. Patel thanked the FBI's Miami field office, the Justice Department, and U.S. partners in Turkey. The FBI director called the capture, quote, another massive win for this FBI's war on fraudsters, with the White House task force led by VP Vance. Patel continued calling the arrest, quote, a monumental victory for the Trump administration, adding, any criminal actor who steals from the American taxpayer will be caught no matter where they try to hide. A violent weekend in Chicago has left at least 7 people dead and 38 others injured in a series of shootings across the city. Police say at least 24 shooting incidents have been reported since Friday evening, including one attack that wounded a dozen people gathered on a city street. The violence unfolded over the Juneteenth holiday weekend. President Trump responded yesterday by calling again for a federal intervention in Chicago and questioning why Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker had not asked for assistance. The governor has previously rejected the president's calls for military involvement. Crime statistics show violent crime in Chicago has generally declined in recent years. Police continue to investigate the shootings and have not announced any major arrests. China is targeting U.S. defense and rare earth companies. The move comes just after the Pentagon accused major Chinese firms of helping Beijing's military. What could it mean for the U.S.-China trade relationship? We have more news after this break. Stay tuned.
My name's Stacy, I'm 57, and I was adopted in 2020.
We were adopted in 2019.
And we were adopted in 2021.
We had a house, and it sounds crazy, but it wasn't a home. The one thing that Jake and Emma brought is it became a home.
When I met Dakota, he had just turned 14.
You weren't there for the first this and the first that. I missed the first words, but we got a lot of other firsts.
Watching her say, oh my God, I cannot believe I got my license. And she's like, I passed. And I'm like, girl.
See them grow. It is.
They chose to love us. They didn't have to. They chose us. Family.
You and you. Kids in the middle.
What I thought was a complete life was nowhere near complete, but it is now.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org.
Being a cowboy, I don't know anything different from when I was 3 or 4 years old. I did tough things. I thought everybody needed to do tough things, and if you didn't, I didn't have time for it. I had a very successful career at a very young age, and life was fast. I was preparing physically. I wasn't doing anything mentally on the inside. And then I got hurt. I wanted to be better as a person, and I really dug into mental health. I start my day with 20-minute workouts. I live life 8 seconds at a time. Horses are so therapeutic. They know what you're feeling. When you're nervous, they're nervous. You won't say it back, but we're pals. I take a lot of responsibility in taking care of my kids, my family, being there for them. You're gonna have tough days. Everybody does. Find a place to stop and just breathe. Love your mind.
Prime Minister Keir Starmer announces he's resigning as the leader of the UK's ruling party. Starmer has been facing pressure from within his own party to step down. The Labour Party is expected to choose a new leader in the coming weeks. NTD correspondent Jason Blair has more.
Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer tells reporters he's stepping down. This is following growing pressure inside the Labour Party to have him replaced. Mr. Starmer is the 5th Prime Minister to resign within 10 years. He says he will remain in the position until the Labour Party chooses a new leader who will then take the role as Prime Minister.
I will also give my successor my full and unequivocal support, knowing that they will inherit a Britain that is far stronger and fairer than the one I inherited 2 years ago.
Currently, former Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham looks to be the front-runner to replace Starmer. Burnham comments on social media, "Keir has given huge service to our country, and I want to thank him for his leadership and dedication during such a challenging period." Burnham was sworn in as a Member of Parliament for Makerfield in London on the same day as Starmer's resignation announcement. The announcement also comes a day after President Trump predicted that the British leader would step down. Trump saying he failed badly in 2 very important subjects, immigration and energy. I wish him well. Trump is scheduled to meet with Starmer again at the NATO summit on July 7th and 8th. It's expected that the UK's new Prime Minister will be decided by September and possibly much sooner if Andy Burnham faces no strong opposition. Jason Blair, NTD News.
China is announcing new trade restrictions on American companies, including rare earth producers and defense contractors. It comes after the Pentagon added several Chinese tech giants to a list of firms that supports China's military. NTD's Washington correspondent Jack Bradley has the details.
China is banning the sale of its products to 10 American rare earth and defense companies. It's targeting companies that are rare earth miners like MP Materials and USA Rare Earth, as well as several defense companies. At the same time, China's also banning its regime-linked entities from buying goods from 46 U.S. companies, including Lockheed Martin and Raytheon, defense contractors. Now, this is all in retaliation to the Pentagon's recent military-linked blacklist of some major Chinese companies. companies. The Department of War recently designating several major Chinese companies, including Alibaba, Baidu, BYD, as military companies. This designation bans these companies from doing business with the U.S. military, but it still allows those companies to partner with other U.S. companies. But this has not stopped U.S. companies from partnering with those Chinese companies. Months earlier, the Pentagon labeled CATL, the world's largest battery maker, as a Chinese military company. But the House Select Committee on the CCP recently found that JP Morgan Chase and Bank of America helped CATL raise billions of dollars.
Evidence of all of this was publicly documented by the committee before the banks made their decision. They ignored the evidence and helped CATL anyway.
The Chinese regime's recent export restrictions underscores just how far Beijing is willing to go to weaponize critical supply chains as leverage against the U.S. Jack Bradley, NTD News, Washington.
Lionel Messi is adding another chapter to his legendary career. The Argentina captain delivered a standout performance at the World Cup and moved past a soccer great in the record books. We have more on that after this break. Stay tuned.
Shenyun Creations, the streaming platform from Shenyun, featuring world-class dance, past programs, and all original music. Masterclasses, behind the scenes, comedy, and more. Explore shenyuncreations.com.
This is how I keep my joints happy.
Omega XL is a powerful natural supplement backed by 40 years of clinical research. Take control of your pain, like Cynthia Bailey.
My knees in particular started giving me pain issues all the way back to my modeling days, from just running through airports, photo shoots. After taking Omega XL, I really started to notice how less stiff I was, especially my knees and my hip. Has Omega XL changed my life? Yes. I barely notice my joint pain anymore. Now I'm like literally sprinting through the airports. My secret is Omega XL.
Pick up the phone and call now to get this exclusive TV offer. Buy one Omega XL and we'll send you a second bottle absolutely free. You'll also get a free bottle of Vitamin XL D3. Buy one, get two free. A total value of over $115, all for just $49.95. You save more than 55% and shipping is free. Backed by a money-back guarantee and is not available in stores. Operators are standing by, so call now.
Discover the ancient secret to vitality and longevity with Puretang Black Ginseng. Crafted from premium 6-year-old Korean ginseng, each root is carefully nurtured for over 2,260 days, undergoing a traditional 9-round handcrafted process of steaming and drying to unlock full potency and absorption. Experience pure, natural energy with Puretang Black Ginseng. Order now at puretang.com.
Tired of struggling with that heavy leaf blower? Introducing the Bullseye Power Blower. It delivers a massive blowing force, and yet it's so compact and lightweight. Just lock and load the rechargeable battery for long-lasting runtime. The secret is the compact turbocharged motor with jet burst technology that blasts out 21,000 RPMs of airflow. Watch this. The sheer force propels this woman across the pool. Look, use Bullseye to blow up a huge jump house. Now that's power. Even blows snow right off your vehicle in no time. Turbo clean your porch in a flash or tidy up your dirty garage floor in seconds. Get it today for just $99.99. But wait, act now and get a $20 discount. So it's only $79.99. Plus, you'll get the adjustable extension tube. Yours free. And it all comes with free shipping. Order now.
Call 1-800-209-2313 or go to bullseyeblower.com. That's 1-800-209-2313 or order online at bullseyeblower.com. Order now.
A sixth suspect has been charged in the alleged terror plot targeting the UFC Freedom 250 event at the White House. The newly unsealed criminal complaint names Jordan W. Rinker of Missouri as part of the group conspiring to cause mass murder. The arrest warrant states the FBI searched Rinker's residence and storage unit on Sunday, finding evidence of his involvement. The complaint reveals new details about the plotters that allegedly operated from around March. Members of the group acquired firearms, ammunition, ballistic gear, and other tactical equipment in preparation for the attack. Screenshot messages suggest Rinker intended to provide drones using a 3D printer to produce the parts. Investigators say there are more co-conspirators to find beyond the 6 arrested. For the first time in 20 years, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration approved a new sunscreen ingredient. While it won't be available in the U.S. until late summer, some leading dermatologists are already recommending their patients use the new formula when it goes onto the market. Here are the details.
It's no secret excessive sun exposure can lead to premature aging and skin cancer. But for years, the only sunscreen options to block these dangerous rays carried concerns over chemicals or a white cast on the skin. But soon, there will be a new choice in the U.S. thanks to this order from the FDA.
Many dermatologists are going to recommend it.
Dr. Deborah Sarnoff, president of the Skin Cancer Foundation, is already poised to advise patients to shift to the new sunscreen ingredient called bemotrizonal, or BEMT, when it hits the market. While current U.S. sunscreens excel at blocking radiation that leads to visible sunburns, critics say they routinely fail to shield against deep penetrating ultraviolet A rays, or UVAs. But Sarnoff says BEMT provides that adequate protection and isn't easily absorbed into the skin.
The thing about this ingredient is it's been around in Europe since the year 2000, so we have a long history on it.
Sarnoff says it protects without the white streaks traditional U.S. sunscreens leave behind, and it's good for those who have poor reactions to other chemicals or people with sensitive skin. It'll need to be applied just like other sunscreens, 15 to 20 minutes before sun exposure, and then reapplied every 2 hours and after swimming or sweating.
We really feel that this is going to save lives because people are going to use the sunscreen that they like, that feels good, smells good, and that's cosmetically elegant.
And for today's World Cup update, Lionel Messi is adding another record to his legendary career. The Argentina captain became the highest goal scorer in World Cup history today, scoring twice in a 2-0 win over Austria to reach 18 career World Cup goals. The performance moves Messi past Germany's Miroslav Klose. Messi's brace also helped Argentina clinch a spot in the round of 32. World Cup action continues later today. Kylian Mbappe and France take on Iraq at 5 p.m. Eastern, while Erling Haaland and Norway face Senegal at 8. Then at 11 p.m. Eastern, Jordan takes on Algeria to wrap up the day's action. Big Bird and the gang may soon have a new streaming home. Netflix has secured the rights to a new Sesame Street movie, adding one of the most recognizable children's brands in television history to its growing family entertainment lineup. Here's more.
A few of your favorite classic characters are going on a new adventure. Netflix has won the rights to a Sesame Street movie. Rideback, the company behind the Aladdin and Lilo and Stitch movies, will produce the feature film. Sesame Workshop, the nonprofit media company behind the iconic children's show, will also be involved in the production. The announcement comes after a year-long bidding war between Universal and Netflix for the movie rights. Netflix already has the television rights to Sesame Street, which it bought just over a year ago.
Firefighters were called to the scene of a fireworks stand that caught fire, as you can imagine, and ended up putting on quite an explosive display. Here's what happened.
4th of July is right around the corner, but eyewitnesses in Oklahoma got an explosive early show when officials say a fireworks stand went up in flames, setting off its wares in a spectacular pyrotechnic display. The incident unfolded in Broken Arrow, just south of Tulsa, and when officials arrived, the fireworks were already actively detonating. Thankfully, no injuries were reported, and while the cause is yet unknown, the effect was quite impressive. File this one under You Really Ought to Know Better. Authorities in Florida say a pair of senior citizens were busted for street racing after they were clocked driving at over 100 miles per hour each. According to a court affidavit, an 85-year-old driver told Lake County deputies the other driver, a 57-year-old, swerved at him. Officials suspect that may have triggered an alleged street race of sorts between the two.
You were going 110 in a 45. Yeah. He was going 125 in a 45.
West reports while being arrested, the other driver claimed his car, a Corvette, was incapable of reaching those speeds. Both drivers were charged with street racing and dangerous driving, and both have denied the charges of racing. Finally, take a look at the fastest full-sized Lego car ever. That's according to Lego and car maker Koenigsegg, which combined their creative forces to construct a life-sized version of the Koenigsegg Sedair Spear. The working replica took over 9,400 hours to craft and features more than 327,000 Lego elements. And while the real-life Sedair Spear, a 1,600-horsepower behemoth, can hit speeds of over 220 miles per hour, the Lego version achieved a mere 69 miles per hour. But that was enough to double the previous Lego Technic speed achievement and solidify its place as the new champ.
The aerobatics unit of France's Air Force performed a flyover this morning over Washington, D.C. The team putting on a show over key landmarks in the nation's capital, including Mount Vernon, Arlington National Cemetery, and the National Mall. Video footage showed red, white, and blue trailing from the formation. The demonstration was part of Liberté 250, a series of events celebrating the 250th anniversary of American independence. The unit is flying alongside the U.S. Navy's Blue Angels and U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds, marking the long-time alliance between France and the United States. The French pilots will perform over New York City July 4th. America's 250th anniversary is almost here, a historic marker in our nation's remarkable history. NTD will bring you special coverage of the Freedom 250 Salute to America celebration taking place in the nation's capital this 4th of July. It's going to be packed with tributes to the country, the people, and the trailblazers who helped define our nation identity. Bring America's legacy to life on stage, plus a fireworks show that Freedom 250 says will be the biggest in history. Our coverage starts at 7 p.m. Eastern. See you then. And thank you for watching NTD Newsroom. I'm Don Ma. Taking a break. We'll be back with more. NTD Evening News is at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific.